Good evening, everyone. Let me call to order this meeting of the West Palm Beach City Commission. Today is Monday, October 27th, 2025, and the time is 5 p.m. We will start this meeting off as we do all of our meetings with a moment of silence, please. Madam President, can you lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me go over the rules of decorum and civility which govern this meeting. Officials shall be recognized by the chair and should not interrupt a speaker. Public comment shall be addressed to the City Commission as a whole and not to any individual in the dais or in the audience. Displays of anger, rudeness, ridicule, impatience, lack of respect, and personal attacks are strictly prohibited. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, and similar demonstrations should not be permitted. Please govern yourselves accordingly, as offenders may be removed from the meeting. Also, anyone wishing to speak at this meeting shall complete a comment card for each agenda item the person wishes to address, which shall include the person's full name, address, and the numbered agenda item. Please govern yourself accordingly. If the card is not completed in full, then it will not be recognized. Madam City Administrator, are there any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
Pardon me. Yes, Mr. Mayor, no additions or deletions, but I would like to point out two requests for continuance. Item 10.1, which is resolution number 24925, regarding the modifications to the Marina Design Guidelines, is being requested to the November 10th, 2025 City Commission meeting, as well as the companion item, item 10.2, which is resolution number 252-25, which relates to a level 3 site plan review.
All right, very good. We will consider the motions when we get to those items, motions for continuance. I now have the distinct pleasure of making a presentation. There are two well-known quotes that beautifully capture the spirit of this next item. The first from our artist Romero Brito, which says, "Art is too important not to share." The second from leadership expert Stephen Covey, "Leadership is the highest of the arts simply because it enables all the other arts and professions to work." So tonight I am pleased to witness convergence of leadership and the arts in a tribute honoring Norton Museum of Art trustee and immediate past chair Bruce Gindelman. Mr. Gindelman has provided 13 years of invaluable service as a trustee and 6 years of dedicated leadership as chairman of the board of the Norton. During a global pandemic, he led Norton through ongoing growth and the completion of the museum's master plan. Mr. Gindelman has also boosted the vitality of the West Palm Beach community of artists and collectors through the Gallery District, his warehouse development that houses art galleries, artist workspaces, and private museums. The Norton Museum of Art is a more powerful, lively institution today because of his leadership. In recognition of his extraordinary contributions, the Norton's Board of Trustees recently voted to award Bruce Gindelman the highest honor the museum can bestow, designation as a life trustee. So I, Keith A. James, Mayor of the City of West Palm Beach, do hereby pay tribute to Bruce Gindelman for his extraordinary legacy of service and dedication to our cultural community. Please join me as I present this proclamation to him.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. On behalf of the Norton Museum of Art, I am so pleased and honored to accept this award for the Norton and what the Norton means to this community. The Norton is an exceptional museum. It's a world-class museum. A great example of that is what I hope you would all go see right now. We have an absolutely stunning exhibition on Rembrandt. It's the only exhibition of this world-class collection in the United States. It's been at the Hermitage, it's been at the Louvre, it's been at the major museums in China, and it's now at the Norton. It is, I've seen a lot of exhibitions. This one has absolutely blown me away. I'd like to thank all of the trustees I've worked with and the staff that I've worked with over the years, and in particular, Guylan, our executive director, Lorna James, our trustee, and my successor, Kelly Williams. I'd also like to thank my family. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, normally we don't allow public comment with the presentation of proclamations, but I do have a request from Lorna James to speak. So, considering the source, I will have Ms. James approach, and Guylan, the executive director, you could piggyback on this breach of protocol that Ms. James has opened.
Well, I think you all know me, but
No, you have to say it for the record, please.
Lorna James, City of West Palm Beach resident. Good evening, Mayor James, City Commissioners, and members of the city staff. On behalf of the Norton Museum of Art's Board of Trustees, thank you for the thoughtful recognition honoring our past chairman, Bruce Gendelman. You heard all of the wonderful things he's done for our museum, but his leadership and vision helped guide the museum through extraordinary growth and transformation. Your acknowledgement this evening is deeply meaningful to all of us who care about the Norton and the cultural vitality of West Palm Beach. The Norton's continued success has always been built on a strong partnership with the city. We are truly grateful for your collaboration, for supporting our operational requests, to enabling the infrastructure and planning that allow us to serve our community. Your commitment to the arts helps make West Palm Beach a place where creativity and culture thrive. We are entering an exciting new chapter, which includes collaboration with the Cultural Quarter, which is from Okeechobee to Belvedere, and then along Dixie and Flagler. We're expanding our campus, deepening our educational and public programs, and continuing to strengthen West Palm Beach's reputation as a leading arts destination. The city's support has been essential in helping us advance that shared vision of growth and inclusion, and we are happy to support the Mayor's vision of West Palm Beach as a community of opportunity for all. And finally, thank you. And finally, we warmly invite each of you and all residents to visit the Norton Museum soon. Come experience the exhibitions. You've heard about the fabulous one we have now with Rembrandt. The events, the community programs that reflect the very best of what our city has to offer. Thank you again for your partnership, your leadership, and your unwavering support of the Norton Museum and our shared cultural future.
I will make it short because nothing could be better said than Lorna James. So thank you again for Commissioner, Mr. Mayor, and for the city of West Palm Beach for your support to the Norton. And stay tuned, it's going to be an exciting time. Thank you.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Sorry, sir. Guylan Dumier, and I'm the CEO of the Norton Museum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we do have a couple of presentations, and we'll begin with Ms. Whitfield. Find my notes. It's my pleasure to welcome Palm Beach County School Board member for District 4 Erica Whitfield. Please join me in welcoming Erica as she presents her State of Education report. Erica?
Yeah, thank you. Love the cheering in the room today. Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I like to come every year and just give an opportunity to really share a little bit about what's going on in your schools and then be available for any questions as they might come up. I know that my colleague is going after me, so I'll try not to take any of his thunder from his schools in this area. We do share West Palm Beach, so you will hear from him as well. So first of all, I just want to say we are an A-rated school district, very proud of that fact within the school district of Palm Beach County. We did go down a few years ago, and that was a rough moment for everyone. So we're back in the appropriate place of A. We're very proud of that. Within the actual city of West Palm Beach, we have done very well with our schools. Many have maintained their ratings, so a B stayed a B, a C stayed a C within the district. However, we do have some notable exceptions, which is Bear Lakes has come up to a B. Yaga Middle School has come up to a B as well. And then Roosevelt Elementary, last time I was here, we did have a bit of a discussion about Roosevelt Elementary, so I am proud to say that they are a C-rated school right now. That is an improvement from 2 years ago. It was an F, and then we were a D, and now we are a C. And so that is a wonderful, wonderful improvement for that school, and I'm quite proud of the work that they are doing and the work of the school district in general to bring up the grades. The things that I think are the most important for you all to know about what's going on in our school system right now is related to the number of students that have not come to school this year. We have had a dip in our numbers that has been very significant. This is not unlike the rest of the cities and communities in the state of Florida, or really in the whole area. We've seen decreases. So within Palm Beach County, as an entire county, we are down 5,516 students. Those, we're delving into those numbers, but those are potentially from our referendum, or from our voucher program that's out there. So some people would take their funding and go to the private schools. So we do know that that is happening. Also, some concerns around immigration have made it so some families don't feel comfortable coming or have moved out of the area. That's part of the reason. So within each of our schools, we have made sure that our principals are sending out staff to look for every student to make sure that they are aware and have any opportunities that they are needed to be able to continue in their education, even if they're not in our buildings. Our decrease has been about 3.4%, which is very close to what our charter school decrease is throughout the county, so very consistent. We've seen some decrease here. However, some of the urban districts have seen even more throughout the state of Florida, and so they are looking at things like closing schools, which is not happening here in Palm Beach County. We are holding on, and we've managed to do a hiring freeze to really make sure that we have filled all our positions and that no one loses their jobs. So that's been a very good thing for the district, and we're very happy about the work that's being happening there. The other thing I would mention is that the superintendent has put together an enrollment strategy committee to really look at how we can do a better job around our enrollment. My daughter is actually attending one of the West Palm Beach schools, very proud of that, South Olive Elementary, my little one, my kindergartner, and she is loving it. School has been amazing. We've been so proud of it, but I've been very impressed with the way that the principal there has taken a real interest in every person that comes through and wants a tour of that school, that she will personally give you that tour. So I'm sharing that with everyone out there. It is, I think, the way that we compete in this current environment of education is to make sure that everyone feels that their children are valued and that they are valued for attending our schools and that they feel comfortable with any school that they come to. So I'm very proud of the work that she's doing specifically there, and I believe hopefully there'll be an A-rated school next year. Currently a B at South Olive, but I think she's doing good things. So I'll talk a little bit about next week. We have a very interesting workshop presentation where we will really be looking into our choice programs. That's something that people have been very interested throughout my time on the school board, which is now actually, I'll be at 11 years next month, which is, I think, crazy. It's been that long. The choice programs are the way that people can choose to go to a different school based on the programming that is available. And so we have had a group within our school district that's done a deep dive into our choice programs and really looked at some of the things that the trade programs, the vocational programs, what is needed to be successful as a school system so we can again attract all of the talent in our area to our public schools. That workshop will be next week, and what I've been asking our communities is that if you are interested in participating in the school district and being a part of the educational opportunities for our students by bringing your businesses in, by making sure that any work that is that you would like to see, any employees that you'd like to see coming out of the school system, that you are letting us know how we can best serve you as a school system to provide the opportunities for the businesses in the area to have the employees that they need. So that's something that I'm very passionate about, and I have been going to every one of the cities in my district and really reaching out to say, if there is some business that would like to partner with the school district, please reach out to me or to our staff so that we can talk about that. Finally, I will mention that at our last meeting, we did have the referendum come up, and we approved our language to go on next year's November ballot. That referendum is to continue the referendum that we currently have for the property tax, which again includes our safety and security, our mental health, and raises for our teachers. So a very important part of making sure that your schools are excellent here in Palm Beach County comes from the taxpayers contributing those funds to the school system so that we can have higher wages, so we can focus on mental health, so we can focus on safety and security. So those things will be on your ballot next year, providing that the County Commission does approve that at their next meeting. So I think I will stop there, and if you all have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you for that presentation. Commissioners, any questions, comments? President Lambert?
Thank you so much. I appreciate you talking, well, thank you for being here and presenting on the schools and doing it, I think, for like the last 7 years, so thank you so much. You mentioned the principal at South Olive, and it got me thinking about how important it is to have great teachers and principals at our schools, and that really makes a difference for our kids. And I was just curious if you could talk a little bit about what the school district's plan is on recruitment and retention, because I know it's always a struggle to find good teachers, to keep them as well.
Absolutely. I think one of the most important things specifically for this body to consider is how we house these people that we want to have come work here. We struggle a lot with hiring people from out of the area that may not have a housing opportunity. We do encourage having roommates. We do try our best to help coordinate them with workforce housing and the like, but it is difficult to move to a community if you're not comfortable with your housing situation before you get there. So as we are doing our recruitment and our retention, it's really important that people who are coming into the area feel that there's a place for them to live. Even for people who currently live here and have homes, it has gotten very expensive to live here. So as we are doing our, we're currently in the middle of negotiating for raises for our teachers. We do everything we can to make sure, but this referendum is a big part of it, because with that referendum, we do give an extra $10,000 to our teachers if they've been with us for 10 years, and that can be the difference between a teacher staying and going from our system. So that's a big part of it. We are working to train up the people that currently are already in the system, so maybe someone from a lower position to a higher position. We will take them if they're engaged in the schools and interested. We will offer training opportunities to give them an opportunity to move up within the system, because we have to grow our own within our system that we already have. So that's very important. Also, we are going everywhere we can to recruit. So that includes even going to Puerto Rico to make sure that if they're interested in coming to be a dual language teacher, that they can come here and feel welcomed by the community to be in this area. So honestly, anything that we can do to create opportunities for teachers, we will do it. We want to make sure people feel that this school system is the best place for them to come and work, and I think our culture has really reflected that lately, and I'm very proud of that, because I think that makes it someplace that people want to work and will stay. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Commissioner Lambert, Commissioner Warren.
We look alike.
It's the blonde hair.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Threw you off, huh? Thank you very much, Board Member Whitfield. I know that you also serve on Palm Beach County's Homeless Advisory Board, and there were some
Another shining star.
considerations. Pardon me?
With another shining star.
Thank you, ma'am. And there was some movement, some progress that had been made with some of our unhoused youth. And many people just do not know how many children we have in our school system that face homelessness. And you've been at the forefront of some of the very innovative approaches that we've had to ensuring that they have dignity and resources. Do you want to share any of that with us
Sure.
today?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is definitely an area of passion for me. We count from the beginning of the year. We start with 0 number of students, and then we start counting the students throughout the year. It takes a little while for us to find students. A lot of it's self-reported, but throughout the year, as a student shows that they are struggling, a teacher will recognize that they are having an issue, and so eventually we'll figure out that they need additional support. We'll have families come to us and ask for opportunities to see if there's any housing in the area, something that they could help their family if they've recently become homeless. So at the end of every year, we get our final numbers. It is approximately 6,000 students as of last year that are in an insecure housing situation. About 250 of those are actually on the street. So these are our young children on the street. We obviously partner with every nonprofit out there to help provide support for them. We have a McKinney-Vento program, which we get students signed up for. McKinney-Vento is basically a federal program that provides extra funding and opportunities for students that are in an insecure housing situation, specifically to stay in their home school and have any of the resources that another student would have that wasn't experiencing that housing difficulty. So we have that program. We definitely partner with them on that, and then make sure that we are raising, we have a coordinator, Alicia Coleman, who does coordinate with our communities to get any resources in. So we've gotten shoes delivered, we're getting food, we get jackets, really just anything that the families need. Even if they come to us and say they're struggling with laundry detergent, we will work to get that for them, because we need our students to have everything that they need. The other thing we're doing is working really hard to make sure we put a washer and dryer in every one of our schools, so that if a student needs to do their laundry at school, we can have people to assist with that. We don't have the students do it, we have someone assist. But that is very important, because they're coming in with these struggles, and we need them to be able to focus on their education while they're there. And that's the most important thing we can do for our students struggling. Thank you, Commissioner, for asking the question.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Well, board member, we certainly appreciate all that you do on behalf of the children of this county and for all your hard work.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you allowing me to come. Thank you. Have a great day.
Now it's my honor to introduce Palm Beach County School Board member for District 7, Edwin Ferguson. Let's give him a hand as he shares his state of education.
Good morning, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, City Attorneys, City Clerk, City Administrator. I'm Board Member Edwin Ferguson for District 7, which covers Riviera Beach down into Delray. So this would be my 3rd time coming before you to give you an update on how the District 7 schools are performing. To Board Member Whitfield's point, there'll be some things that I was gonna say that I won't say because she's already said it, but if there are any questions that you have of me after I've done my presentation, feel free to ask those of me. Now, I'm not the most technically savvy person, but we did do a dry run with the city clerk earlier, so I'm hoping that I get this going the right way. All right. So, let's see, how do we magnify this?
Is there anyone from IT who can assist him, please?
Assist with that, please. That's why you get big bucks. Thanks. All right, so yeah, that's me. So we're gonna talk about the academic results. I'm really big on the data. I like to make sure that everybody is speaking the same language. So we're going to talk about the academic results, graduation requirements. I'm going to skip that. Construction projects, I'm going to skip that too. But I want to focus on academic results and what we as community members can do to help improve those proficiency rates. I think that, this is my personal opinion, I think we focus too much on letter grades and not really how the student body is performing. And you're going to look at these results and you'll see what I'm referring to there. So while, of course, I'm happy that we're an A-rated district, I'm really more concerned about the proficiency of our students because that's the true correlation into whether they're going to be able to be gainfully employed here in the next 10 to 15 years, not whether they're from an A-rated school, C-rated school, et cetera. All right. Okay. So what I want to speak about first is I want to kind of set the stage for you all. So I'm a huge proponent of what's known as kindergarten readiness. I've been saying this since before I was on the school board. Children who start behind tend to stay behind. It's not absolute, but as a general rule, if you start behind the 8 ball, you tend to stay behind the 8 ball. And those who start ahead, they tend to stay ahead. So for example, these are 3 elementary schools in District 7, and I purposefully chose not to identify them just because I don't want anyone to have their feelings hurt. But as you can see, School 1 is a school that has a very low kindergarten readiness rate. So the 21, that would have been last year's 3rd graders when they were in kindergarten. It was 21%. And as you can see by the color code there, the 28% is how well they performed on their ELA examination. So what does that mean? So 21% means that 21% of the students in kindergarten at that school were what you call kindergarten ready. So how do you determine if somebody's kindergarten ready? Are they able to count to say 100? Can they recite the alphabet? If my name is Keith, I know that my name is Keith. Can you identify colors? Can you hold a pencil or writing utensil properly? Are you potty trained? These are things that are used to determine whether or not a child is kindergarten ready. So at that school, only 21% of the children met that metric. And so to me, it should come as no surprise that in 3rd grade, the ELA scores of students who are actually deemed to be proficient. So for lack of, it's simplifying things, but let's just say a 3 means you're at a C level, a 4 would be a B, a 5 would be an A, and obviously a 2 would be a D, and a 1 would be an F. 28% of the students at that school were able to perform at a C level or better. Now let's look at the medium kindergarten readiness score, 49%, which actually is about the average for our school district right now. Roughly half of those students were what you deem to be kindergarten ready. The school was able to improve their proficiency in ELA by 10 points, so you see it's 59%. And then at the school to the far right, School 3, which as a general rule, we see that the more affluent neighborhoods have a higher kindergarten readiness rate. So I want to talk about what we can do so that we can kind of break that paradigm, because I don't think that preparedness should be tied to mom and dad's bank account. But having said all that, 70% of those students were kindergarten ready, and then by the 3rd grade, you have 82% of them that are performing at a 3 or better. That's not bad. Obviously, I would want us to be at 100%, but hey, 82% is definitely something to applaud. So now we're going to go back into the actual data of our schools here in West Palm Beach, in District 7 specifically, I should say. So we have 11 schools in West Palm Beach that fall into my district. The greater number of our schools in West Palm Beach are District 7 schools, and they're listed there. And I'll go back to and I'm moving too fast, but anyone who wants to get the data that I'm going to refer to, please scan that QR code. I think it's very important that we all have the same information. You all might see something that I don't see, and I believe it's important that we get this right. This is our most important asset, our children, and I think everybody who is willing should be engaged. So I think it's important that I always disseminate any information that I'm relying on to you all, because I think collectively we are much smarter than I'll ever be in my individual capacity. Now, having said all that, I want to jump into our scores. IT may just have to stand up here with me, because I'm trying to click on the hyperlink and it's not working for me. I thought we already had this. Hold on a second. We just did this. X out of this. Okay.
Yeah, just close that little X there. Click dome switch.
Okay.
If you want to click on that to make that full screen.
All right.
And you want to do slideshow.
All right. All right.
You know what? It's not coming up over there.
Why was it so easy before the lights came on? My apologies, Commissioner. I thought we did a dry run and it was.
Okay, it's okay.
My apologies.
I can't get this to come up. I don't know not coming up.
Mr. Mayor, is this slide deck embedded into the agenda for today's meeting? Do you know?
I'm sorry, what?
I was just asking, is this slide deck embedded in the
No, so you'll have to send it to us, or send it to the clerk, and she'll get it distributed.
So what I'll represent to you is that,
We need you to speak in the mic, so if you want to go there while he's trying to,
sure.
because it's being recorded, so we need you to speak into the mic.
Is this you right here?
So what the slides would show, or which will show you, is that inside of District 7, we have a lot of schools that are actually below the kindergarten readiness rate. I believe we're at 49% for the school district at large, which is definitely nothing to write home about. And at least for the District 7 schools, the majority of them, aside from Northborough, are below that number. The neighborhoods that these schools service are on the lower mid to lower socioeconomic end. So that's why I thought it was important to kind of share with you all some of the materials that I am confident would help us bump those numbers continually, and not just have a one-off where, okay, we have a great year, but then we slip back the following year if there's not monies being allocated toward those schools. I think these are things, honestly, when you get a chance to look at the data, you'll see it's really just a matter of repetition with the child. And I think we should start as early as 1-2 years of age. There's data in the system. Is it still not working, sir? So we can move it now? Okay, I guess I'll be.
You want to go back over there? Okay.
All right, so for example, like I said, kindergarten readiness score. So it was 48% last year, it's down to 45% district-wide. We think that's partly due to the adjustment of what constitutes kindergarten readiness by the Florida Department of Education. Regardless, it's still roughly 50% of the kids who are kindergarten ready and 50% who are not. However, when you look at the elementary schools inside of District 7, again, as I stated before, aside from Northborough, actually, none of the schools are at the district average of 45%. Now, I will say this, generally speaking, we have exceptional principals at these schools, and they do a really amazing job of kind of moving the proficiency levels up from year to year. But I can't help but wonder how much better and how much more successful our schools would be if we had a higher kindergarten readiness rate. So for example, you see the kindergarten readiness scores there, and hopefully this will allow me to go to the ELA slide next. So I'm not gonna move back, but I'll tell you this. Normally what you see is that a kindergarten readiness score will say be at a 28, and then you'll see the ELA score at 38 or 35 or 36. Most of these schools would be what I would call lower performing schools from a purpose of the initial slide that I showed you. And so I believe, this is just my hypothesis in that regard, although to be fair, the Glades are doing a much better job regionally with making sure that a greater number of children are kindergarten ready, and then by their 3rd grade year, they're doing a really great job out there. Historically, they're the most under-resourced area of the county, but as of recent, we see Bs popping up across the Glades, and I think Pahokee Junior Senior High already secured an A. So it's not, in that regard, something that's contingent on mom and dad's bank account. They're doing a good job collectively of providing wraparound services that are allowing those students to excel. And I think we should be doing that here on the east side as well. We can't import our workforce continually. So I do think that we need to kind of grow our own. I think Board Member Whitfield mentioned that in regard to teaching, but I think more on a macro scale, we need to be growing our own. And I think that can happen if we focus on that, really focus on that kindergarten readiness space. Because what I will tell you, across District 7, District 6, and some of the other areas where, let's say, students are not as affluent, you get into this situation of what I call triage education, where you're constantly trying to catch them up, but they never catch up. Because in 1st grade, for example, they're working on things they should have mastered in kindergarten. Or 3rd grade, they're working on things they should have mastered in 1st grade. It just gets, the gap gets wider and wider and wider. And so the prospects for true success in terms of being able to have a skill set that's portable, that you can use to provide for yourself and your family, it becomes less and less likely. And so again, that's why I kind of stick back to this focus of those who start ahead tend to stay ahead, and those who start behind, they tend to stay behind. It's not absolute, but historically, it seems to be close to a truism. Now you see here the ELA scores at the middle and high school level. Bach is kind of an outlier. Bach is not really what I would consider a city school. Children come from across the county. Bach is similar to Suncoast. It's known for its proficiency and its rigor. So parents will send their children by way of train, plane, and automobile even, or automobile and plane even, to get to Bach Middle School. They do a great job historically. They're one of the better schools unquestionably here in Palm Beach County. But when you look at Bear Lakes, Roosevelt Middle School, and Palm Beach Lakes High School, you have a demographic that's largely local. I will give a shout out to Bear Lakes Middle. They actually secured a B for the first time in, I can't remember when. And so I think that's a result of Mr. Howell and his team's tireless efforts in kind of moving the students along. But again, like I said before, a B is great, but look at that proficiency level. It's 41%. Now it's up substantially, it's up almost 100% from say 22, but we want to get that much higher as far as that goes. And Mr. Mayor, I will definitely move this on. As far as that goes, the person have downloaded the slides, you can see these numbers for yourself. Mathematics, the funny thing about math, which a lot of times I don't think we do a good job of explaining to you all at the district level, is this is largely reading comprehension. So again, this is why it's so important to get the kindergarten readiness piece right. So you learn to read so that you can ultimately read to learn, because a lot of times the questions are formed in a way that you have to understand from a comprehension standpoint what is being asked of you. Is it a multiplication problem? Is it a math problem? Is it division, or whatever the case may be? So these schools that kind of ultimately feed, say, a Palm Beach Lakes or Forest Hill, a lot of times if you had a higher number of children who were kindergarten ready, you would see at Palm Beach Lakes or at Forest Hill a much higher proficiency in regard to science and math and ELA. It really is that basic in that regard. There's definitely a correlation there. In regard to math, I'll skip this slide and just go to algebra and geometry. So our middle schools generally outpace our district-wide average. The reason why is because, think about it, you have 7th and 8th graders who are very interested and very proficient in math, so it wouldn't come as a surprise if you have a 7th grader or an 8th grader taking Algebra 1 or geometry that they're going to perform better than, say, an 11th or a 12th grader who may be taking it algebra, I would say, as a graduation requirement. He or she may not necessarily be as proficient in that area. Science also seems to be one district-wide, county-wide, where our students are struggling. And when I speak to principals and teachers, it goes back to the issue of reading comprehension to a degree. And there's some educational tools that are embedded inside of this slide that I would encourage the parents and concerned citizens to use with our youth that can really help kind of expedite their learning curve. And so, how can you help? Volunteering in schools. I'm really a huge proponent of our parents and concerned citizens being engaged with the SAC at each school and PTSAs at the schools. Kind of, you have a chance to be involved with how education is being administered at these different schools, and I think we owe it to ourselves as concerned citizens to be engaged in all schools whenever possible. I think Board Member Whitfield mentioned the issue about providing sponsorship, so I'll move on from that. And as well as the Municipal Education Advisory Boards, I believe we have one here, yeah, we do. So to the extent there's openings on those, I would encourage citizens to be involved and engaged as well to kind of understand what the science of education is and what it looks like and how you can be a part of helping improve our overall performances here in West Palm Beach. As I said before, just scan these QR codes, but there's a treasure trove of information inside of this slide deck. The Bright Future Scholarship, as I said, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to push through that, but that's also something that I think a greater number of our residents in West Palm Beach, I would like them to shoot for. Oh, I'm fine with it at this point. I just want to move on because I think I've taken up more than enough time already. I think that's something that we really should be working on. We still subsidize education here in the state of Florida if you hit certain metrics in high school. So again, I would encourage families from as early as the elementary years to start understanding what your child needs to meet by graduation in order for them to get a free ride to college. High school credits are offered in middle school. So again, we have a few middle schools here in West Palm Beach, Bear Lakes, Roosevelt, Coniston, if your schools aren't offering high school credits, again, as parents and concerned citizens, you should be pressuring your principals to make sure that they do. I do believe they all offer them, but in the event they do not, it's on us to speak to the principals and tell them, hey, this is what I want to see for my child at your school. We'll skip the District 7 projects, although I will say we've been very busy. We are in phase 2 of the renovation of the historic Roosevelt High School site. We're going to have an African American museum and research library there as well. We're donating the building. The Community Foundation will be doing the additional fundraising to ensure the build out of that project. And my understanding is that I believe we have a 3 or 2 year calendar for the completion of that museum and research library. So I'm very happy about that. And I'm going to stop now, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. If there are any questions?
Thank you very much for that presentation, and thank you for all the work that you do on behalf of our students as a school board member. Any questions? Yeah, Commissioner Ward.
Thank you for the presentation, and I appreciate you coming. So could you just go over a couple of the things that the Glades has done to help with that kindergarten readiness?
I think this may be an oversimplification, but from my perspective, I think they've done a better job of engaging with the community to get the community involved as well. So getting concerned citizens like yourself, hypothetically, let's say you weren't a city commissioner, but you were just a local resident, you being willing and feeling affirmed to come into the school, let's say a Pahokee Elementary or a Rosenwald or whatever, to read to the children, to engage, because that is a big difference in terms of why so many kids in, say, affluent areas do better. They have open communication with a parent or an adult figure. You follow me? That we know that helps in terms of your educational proficiency. Then I think that the regional superintendent, Ms. McTier, or Dr. McTier, she does a really good job of leading her team out there. Not to say that we don't have other good leaders around the county, but I do think she is distinguishing herself as one of the better leaders here in Palm Beach. So again, that's an oversimplification, Commissioner, but this is my conclusion as to why they're doing so much better out there.
Okay, President Lambert.
Thank you so much. That was my question as well. I think that that's amazing. I'm so pleased to hear that Pahokee, you said, had a B rating, and that the community, it sounds like the community rallied
A
together.
rating, actually, but yeah. There were some other Bs out there, but Pahokee actually recently received an A, which is quite impressive. Excellent,
excellent. And I guess, to follow up on that, when you said they have pulled together resources, I think I'd love to hear some more on who are the they. I'm guessing you mean community members, parents, stakeholders, and maybe Commissioner Ward, our education committee, might invite the district leaders from that area to talk to us about that, and because I think that would be something we might want to take a look at.
Yeah, Commissioner Lambert, it's from the school district side and the community as well. So it's a great, if you will, public or public-private partnership. I don't know how you want to say it, but the principals are doing a good job following Dr. McTier's leadership and also obviously Superintendent Burke. But I do think that she's kind of the straw that's been stirring that drink out there. She's been doing an amazing job these past few years, and now we're seeing the fruit being born out there. But it's a combination of the principals and the teachers and the administrators buying in. The students obviously are buying in, and then the parents and the concerned citizens also giving them that additional service and wraparound services that they need to sustain this performance. But they definitely are on the ascent out in the Glades. It's great.
I know it's a lot about feeling supported, and we talked about the referendum and that there might be some opportunity for more financial incentives for teachers and principals, but just knowing that they have the community support then may incentivize their own innate desire to want to do these jobs, which are very difficult.
I agree.
Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you so much for the presentation. The other day I had the opportunity to talk to one of the doctors that's working at the FAU clinic at UB Kinsey at the walk-in clinic. Okay. And she mentioned that a couple of days a week she goes to Dreyfus and works on mental health issues with the kids. And I was just curious if is this an anomaly? Is this something that you work on every school, that there's outside, I guess, mental health specialists that are coming in to work with students? Obviously, I know that the times are very different right now. To be a kid, I'm sure that there's a lot on their mind. So I hope that this is something that we're looking into for all kids, but I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
There should be a mental health counselor at every school at this point. I'm not familiar with the woman who you are referring to in that regard, but I don't think that's unique to have at least one mental health counselor at every school. as you stated, yeah, with social media and yeah, things, it's different times in the old days when I was in school. But yeah, children seem to be much more fragile now than they were even 20 or 30 years ago. And so, yeah, there is a need for those kind of experts to be there to kind of hold their hand, if you will, to kind of help them get through those tough days, as far as that goes. But I do believe that every school has a mental health counselor. Even if they're not there every day, they're there throughout the week. That's my understanding throughout the district.
All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you again,
Mr. Mayor.
School Board. Appreciate you.
Have a great day. Okay.
Now, Commissioners, we'll turn to the consent calendar, items 8.1 through 8.14. Any questions, comments on consent? 8.1 through 8.14. President Lambert.
Thank you. I don't know if there's any cards, but I saw that maybe there's some band members here, and so I didn't know if they were going to say anything about item 8.5, but if not, shout out to you all. That was it, Mayor.
All right, any other, Commissioner Fox?
I was going to say the same thing. I'm very happy that we are able to support this trip. It sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I was hoping, since there's instruments out there, that we were going to get a little sample, but if not, then that's okay too.
All right, slow down. We still have a meeting to try to get through. Okay, do we have any cards? Okay, if there are no other comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, move approval of the consent calendar for items 8.1 through 8.14.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we'll now turn to item 9.1, public hearing and first reading of ordinance number 5145-25, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 78 to modify conditions for obtaining a special event permit, to add conditions for special event details, and to add authorities for police in situations involving unpermitted special events and special events exceeding the scope of the issued permit.
Mr. Mayor,
Chief.
City Commission, City Administration, I'm Tony Spatera, Assistant Chief with the Police Department. And the reason that I'm standing here is to request an amendment, an enhancement to the special events permit, ordinance that already exists in the city to give it a little more teeth. We've had occasion at the police department to respond to both unpermitted and also events that are permitted that exceed what the organizer has proposed, and we would like some authority to take action on that. So what the, under 78-153, the ordinance said that it was only for public property. We made the amendment that it's any property, both private and public property. That's the minimal change, which would still result in a review by the police and fire department to issue the permit through city special events. This is still the same, the timeline for submitting a permit. It's 6 weeks for a special event on public property, 3 months for a high impact event. And high impact is anything that would close the road for more than 48 hours, have in excess of 3,000 people in attendance, or a gated event is what the definition of a high impact. And then special event on private property and neighborhood special event is 4 weeks. So there's no change to that. And then 78-157, which is all under the special events permit section, just establishes conditions for staffing for public safety personnel on high impact events. Basically, we would do a review and tell the organizer how many police officer and or fire department personnel they need to have a safe event in the city. And then it implements fees if we have to do road closures or put up barriers for to block vehicles from entering into the event site. And basically, so 78-161, it expands the authority for our officers at night if they come across an unpermitted or
what exceeds the scope of the issued permit, the authority for the police officers right then to work with the organizer and get them either to come within the confines or close it down or face arrest, and that would be the person that is present that's responsible for the property, not just who applied for the permit. The difference there is it was the permit holder could have been held responsible. This would give the authority for the officers to work with the event organizer on scene, and if then they refuse, then it would give the officers the authority, if needed, to either make an arrest or do a code violation. And the overall on this is it would improve public safety and emergency preparedness, and that we could properly prepare for city sanctioned events, or city permitted events rather. It provides clarity and accountability for the event organizers. As they go through the process, they can see on their application where it stands and what the requirements are for each event that they're requesting a permit for. And then once again, violations can be criminal, and what the city code says is if it's criminal, they can be fined up to $500 and not to exceed 60 days in jail, or go the code route, and then they'd have to go in front of a code magistrate.
Very good. Thank you for that presentation. Comments, questions? Commissioners, President Lambert.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the steps we're taking to be more efficient and effective and safe, quite frankly, for our events. So thank you for that. And I know we had questions at the agenda review, so I appreciate the detail related to the time that the 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the type of event, that they'll be required to give you all notice. My question is that while I think 4 weeks to 6 weeks seems extremely reasonable, and hopefully people are planning that far ahead, that there may be organizations or groups who have historically been planning and communicating in less time than that. And I would hate for them to be thinking, oh, we typically submit this within 2 weeks and we get approved. Do we have a plan for communicating with just our typical partners who might not be aware of this change so that they don't get caught flat-footed?
So both through the city PIO and the police department PIO, we can put that out, make sure that it's on the website for the city, that it announces this new amendment, if so approved.
Great. And Mayor, maybe if we could just ask if city administration or the events staff has an email list of typical applicants, if we keep that, if this is something that we can communicate out to them, because I know that we've made other changes before and then partners come to us and say, oh, we didn't realize that this change happened, and I agree, we can only do so much to help educate, but maybe this is a step we can take.
Yeah, we'll talk to staff and see if they can shoot an email blast out to those who have been involved with special events in the past.
Thank you.
Commissioner Warren and then Commissioner Ward.
Thank you. And so for venues that typically have events, and then there's something that they're doing special for 4th of July or Memorial Day or something like that, then they would need to do a special event application.
Yes, yes, and if they're going to be above 25 people, they should go on the safe side and apply for a special events permit. But if it blocks a road, or there's a whole list under the existing special events ordinance that if it blocks the road or has a valet or anything that basically disrupts the regular flow, they need to apply for a special events permit.
And that the documentation, the list that you're referring to, also identifies where this would move into something that would be considered criminal. How would they know what would be the steps that would take in order for them to actually be committing a criminal offense?
The enforcement provisions of this ordinance and all of the ordinances that we have codified has a penalty provision section that lays out what the potential ramifications of their actions are, and we're all charged with knowing what our laws are applicable to, and in this instance, permitting of special events, and events will give them that information with their application as well.
Okay, so it is shared at the time that the permit is granted, so it's not something,
We'll make sure that they have the information about the enforcement provisions at the time of permit.
And once again, we would work with the event organizer to get them to come into compliance first. We're not just going to arrive and arrest someone for, if they have a overabundant party or gathering.
yeah, because I'm sure our goal is safety and ensuring that all of our events have safety parameters that are adhered to. Just want to make sure that there isn't anything that that we're doing that, not that we're doing, but anything that causes people to make errors that could result in something.
Like the city attorney said, it would be spelled out in the permit, or, our
Fantastic.
responding officers would review the permit and see if it's inside or outside of what was permitted.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Ward?
Along the same lines, I'm thinking, we're getting to the holiday time, and neighborhood associations, a lot of them have holiday parties, so they would be subject to this small event ordinance coming through you?
If they're going to block the road, yes, they
They're
would have
blocking
to,
the road.
yes.
Okay. All right, and just to President Lambert's point, to have something from communications kind of detailing this that we can blast out to neighborhoods, I think is really important. Just a simple pager or something where they can even find more details, but just the over-under of what the changes are, so that way we're being proactive and getting information to our neighborhood associations.
So we work closely with community events through this city, and we can absolutely do an email blast like Commissioner Lambert suggested.
Commissioner Warren?
Thank you. And that is a great point, because I know a lot of homeowners associations, particularly mine, has a trunk or treat event, and they've had it for years. And I would hope that moving forward, or if they're, and that's this weekend, that they're doing something so we wouldn't. I'm just hoping that there wouldn't be anything that would cause.
We're not going to shut down
a gated community.
Yeah, we're not going to shut down a
Don't shut down my
event where it's kids with trick-or-treating.
Okay.
This is only first reading, and it wouldn't become effective until second reading, and then 10 days after that.
Now, if you leave some candy with the mayor, I'm sorry. Okay, any other questions?
Follow up on that.
Yes, President Lambert.
And once we had second reading, then any permits that were already applied for and granted would be grandfathered in, and this would only apply to new applicants, correct?
Correct, with the timeline.
Great, thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5145-25 on first reading and schedule second reading for November 10th, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5145-25, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 78, Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places, Article 6, Special Events, Section 78-153, application for a special event permit to modify conditions for obtaining a special event permit. Amending Article 6, Special Events, Section 78-157, Security, to add conditions involving police and fire details associated with special events. Amending Article 6, Special Events, Section 78-161, Violations, Enforcements, Revocation of Permits, and Authority to shut down events, to add authorities for police response involving unpermitted events and events exceeding scope of the issued permit, providing a conflicts clause, a codification clause, and a severability clause, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll now turn to, let's see, the quasi-judicial portion of the meeting. And we will ask the commissioners to make your declarations. And we will begin with who we can begin with. Okay, Commissioner Warren, seems like she's ready. Oh, she's not ready. Okay. Commissioner Fox, you ready? Okay. Commissioner Ward, are you ready?
I got this. We're not doing, because we're continuing 1 and 2.
That's correct.
I'm not, okay, perfect. As to matter 10.3, I have had ex parte communications with the applicant and neighborhood organizations. I have received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. As to item 10.4, I should have combined those. I have had ex parte communications with the representatives of the applicant and community organizations and community members. I have received written communications. I have not conducted investigation. I have made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. And I could have just combined all three of those for item 10.5, but I guess I'll say it now. I have had ex parte communications with the representative of the applicant and community members and organizations. I have received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you. President Lambert.
And there's a 10.6.
There's a 10.6.
Oh, gosh. I wasn't ready. Hold on.
You're always ready, Commissioner.
As to item 10.6, I have had communications with representatives of the applicant. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record. Am I good?
Thank you. Okay. President Lambert.
Thank you, Commissioner Ward, because you help us all when you go first. As to items 10.3, 10.4, and 10.5, I have had ex parte communications with representatives of the applicant as well as residents. I have received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. As to item 10.6, I have had ex parte communications with representatives of the applicant. I have not received written communication, not conducted an investigation, not made a site visit, and not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you. Commissioner Peduzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. As to items 10.3, 10.4, 10.5, I have had ex parte communications. I have received written communications. I have had ex parte communications from representatives of the applicant. I have received some written communications from members of the public. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit, nor have I received any expert opinions. As to my matter 10.6, I have had ex parte communications from representatives of the applicant. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted investigation. I have not made a site visit, nor have I received any expert opinions. I ask that these disclosures and all written communications be made a part of the record.
Thank you. Commissioner Fox.
As to items 10.3, 10.4, and 10.5, I have had ex parte communications with representatives of the applicant. I have received written communications from residents. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. As to item 10.6, I have had ex parte communications with representatives of the applicant. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. As to items
Commissioner Warren.
As to items 10.3, 10.4, and 10.5, I have had ex parte communications with representatives of the applicant. I have received written communications from members of the public. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. As to item 10.6, I have had ex parte communications with the representatives of the applicant. I have not received written communications and not conducted an investigation, not made a site visit, and not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you. Now, Madam Clerk, can you swear in all witnesses, please?
Would everyone wishing to speak on items 10.3 through 10.6 please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, we do have, on item 10.1, we do have a request for continuation, so I'll need a motion.
Mayor, I move to continue consideration of resolution number 249-25 to the commission meeting scheduled to begin 5 p.m. on November 10th, 2025 at the City of West Palm Beach City Hall Commission Chambers, 401 Clematis Street, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33401.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Similarly, we have a request for a continuation of item 10.2. We have a motion.
Mayor, I move to continue consideration of resolution number 252-25 to the commission meeting scheduled to begin at 5 p.m. on November 10th, 2025 at the City of West Palm Beach City Hall Commission Chambers, 401 Clematis Street, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33401.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We now turn to item 10.3, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5144-25 regarding the rezoning of approximately 3.011 acres located at 5400 North Flagler Drive from multifamily high-density residential, MF32, to residential plan development, RPD, and resolution number 216-25 regarding the establishment of the development regulations and conditions for the 5400 North Flagler Drive residential plan development and granting waivers of the zoning and land development regulations. The above reference requests are being made by Tyler Woolsey of Urban Design Studio and Brian Seymour of Gunster Law on behalf of 5400 North Flagler Limited Partnership for the creation of the 5400 North Flagler Drive residential plan development. Mr. Tuma.
Good evening, Ken Tuma with Urban Design Studio. Address is 610 Clematis Street, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33401. The matter that is in front of you today is very duplicative of what you heard before. I'm going to walk through the new material that's been entered into the record since our last hearing, which involves the active use, and I'm just going to go over a couple quick items, and I'll be done very quickly, but would like the opportunity to use the PowerPoint in rebuttal if necessary. I'm going to jump right to slide 17, Mr. Mayor.
That's fine, sir.
Thank you, sir. Last time we discussed the active use identified in the screen on the screen in front of you are those two active uses identified as a cycle club and a dog spa. The next slide is the new information that was submitted to the record. This is a little clearer view of what's occurring, both landscape and hardscape access and materiality that's being proposed within that area. So that's the information that is new to the record. We have worked very diligently to create this active use along the frontage. Just a few more things to add to the conversation. Our client has been very good, very collaborative in nature. In fact, even Friday, as of 4 o'clock, we had another meeting with the Palm Beach House Board of Directors, continuing the conversation about what's going to be occurring on their site. We have one minor condition update that staff is going to present. And again, keeping it short this evening, happy to answer any questions you may have. And I was also told that there's a baseball game tonight with the Toronto Blue Jays because our clients are Canadian. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tuma. Any questions for the applicant before we hear from staff? Any questions for the applicant? Okay, staff, what say ye?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Louis is the Senior Planner, Development Services for the record. So just piggyback what the applicant just stated, so we're gonna glance it over really quick here if staff has any questions in regards to this, this presentation. So going back again to the previous City Commission, staff still has concerns regarding to waiver number 3, which is in regards to the height, which impacts the site setbacks. Staff is still not in support of this application in regards to the setback, which encroach within the required site setbacks and the rear setback. Staff has no issues with the active use of the frontage. Matter of fact, staff work with the applicant in order to provide guidance and technical requirements in regards to the proposal. Staff is in concurrence with the active use of the frontage. Therefore, staff has no issues with that. Therefore, staff still recommends the approval of ordinance number 5144-25 for the rezoning MF32 to RPD and a waiver number 1. And staff recommends denial of resolution number 216-25 for the development regulations and setback waiver number 3. There is a resolution amendment for page number 7, condition number 7. So I'm going to pass it over to our staff to pass on that page really quick. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Mr. Ward?
It's not necessarily a question for staff as it is just more of a comment to the rest of the body. Again, we're back discussing a higher height. Last time we approved the first reading of the ordinance, which created the RPD, and this has the resolution this time for the height. And I just, again, wanted to reach out to my colleagues to make sure that we're all on the same page, that we approved the North Flagler overlay at a 300-foot height. They obviously came in before. They've got a lot of positives. I just, for purposes of transparency to the audience and for ourselves, I just wanted to, again, go over those key points and just make sure that we're all on the same page on that.
All right. Any questions or comments to staff? President Lambert?
Thank you, Commissioner Ward. I appreciate that. And, I really appreciate the level of collaboration that I feel went into this, in talking with staff and talking with the representatives, the amount of consideration that was given to the requests that were made. I feel comfortable with this. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments in general? Yes.
Quickly reading this, so protect all neighboring property. How wide is the net for neighboring, what constitutes neighboring property? Is that like a circumference or?
Yes, Commissioner. So the neighboring property is the direct abutting properties to the north-south and adjacent to the west of the property. The east side of the property is the waterway, so there's no effect on that. But yes, the direct abutting properties. The north is actually a park, so that's not going to be affected. But the south property, they're single-family residence, as well as adjacent to the west property, they're all single-family, as well as the Historic Neighborhood Association area.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, comments in general? Okay, we do have a couple of cards. If I read your name, please start approaching the podium. Jeff Edelson and Robert Knotson. Mr. Edelson.
I'm Jeff Edelson. Hello, Commissioners. I reside at 5600 North Flagler Drive. I can honestly say I've been to more planning meetings and commission meetings than I would have ever imagined. All this over just about a 2-month period. I have a new respect for what you all do and appreciation for what you all do as well. This project has asked for many variances and changes to the benefit of the new development. If approved, I urge the commissioners in the city to keep track of the noise, dust, and debris to protect residents of the community and to ensure the quality of life that you have said would be kept. To that end, I would strongly urge a change in the hours and operation of construction for this project. The current hours would allow for construction between that of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. This greatly affects the quality of life of many residents that are retired, that live at home, and for many residents that would like just a quiet weekend with their family. The noise may also be enhanced by the echoing sound effects that currently exist and will only get worse as the building rises. This echoing not only will affect my building, but most of the surrounding community. I would suggest a time from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. time frame, with the first and last hours reserved for quieter construction. In addition, I hope that Great Gulf would have in place, and the city will require, a way to greatly reduce the amount of dust and debris that will be spread throughout the affected neighborhoods. As a final statement, I heard tonight that many of the commissioners have not made a site visit. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but to truly see how this project will affect the community, I truly hope that all the commissioners have had a chance to stop by and see the site and the area, especially with the reservations that have been expressed. by the staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Robert Neeson. Robert Nelson. Okay. Mr. Tuma, you reserve right to rebut. Do you care to say anything? All right. Commissioners, any other comments, questions? President Lambert.
Just to the resident who spoke and to those who might be concerned about that, I will say that I have noticed the city staff paying much more attention to the construction management plans. I know that we've added some more teeth to our ordinance lately, kind of a 3 strikes and not you're out, but you get penalized, and it does pause the construction, so it motivates them to want to stay within their construction management plan and to abide by what we have all agreed upon. So we'll, I know that your district commissioner is very active in that area, and we'll hear from you all if it's not being adhered to, and likewise all of us as well. Thank you.
All right. If there are no other comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval of ordinance number 5144-25, a rezoning to change approximately 3.011 acres from a multifamily high-density MF32 residential designation to residential plan development, including an acreage waiver to create the 5400 North Flagler Drive residential planned development. This motion is based upon the factual testimony presented, the application submitted, the staff report, the recommendation of the planning board, and the findings that the rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan and does not comply with the standards found in section 94-32 of the city's zoning and land development regulations. The City Commission finds that particular circumstances justify the reduction of the planned development acreage to less than 10 acres, and that the requirements for the planned development district zoning and the benefits to be derived from the planned development district zoning can be derived in such a lesser area.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5144-25, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the zoning map of the City of West Palm Beach to rezone the approximately 3.011 acres of property located generally at 5400 North Flagler Drive from multifamily high-density residential zoning designation to residential plan development, declaring this zoning map amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan of the city, revising the zoning map of the city accordingly, granting an acreage waiver to the zoning and land development regulations, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Commissioner Ward.
I move approval of resolution number 216-25 regarding the establishment of the development regulations and conditions of the 5400 North Flagler Drive residential plan development and granting waivers of the zoning and land development regulations. This motion is based upon the factual testimony presented, the application submitted, the staff report, the recommendation of the planning board, and the findings that the site plan level 3 is consistent with the comprehensive plan and complies with the standards found in section 9432A and section 9435C of the city's zoning and land development regulations.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now turn to items item 10.3 and 10.4. Here we go.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Hold on. Let me
Good.
call it. Let me read it first.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Here we go. All right, I'm going to read items 10.3 and 10.4 into the record because I understand there is a single presentation for both of those. So,
Mayor, 10.4 and 10.5, 10.4 and 10.5.
oh, okay, it's 10.4 and 10.5. My bad. So I'm just going to read item 10.3. Thank you. All right.
That's the one we just did.
That's the one we just did. 10.4 and 10.5. Yes, I have done this before. It may not look like it. Okay, let's start over. I'm going to read items 10.4 and 10.5 into the record because I understand there's a single presentation to deal with both. All right, item 10.4, public hearing of resolution number 228-25 regarding a special site plan review request to construct an 8-story multifamily development consisting of 167 residential units at 2900 Broadway with waivers and variances from the city's zoning and land development regulations. The above reference request is being made by Liam McGuire of MPLD Consulting on behalf of Broadway Northwood LLC. And item 10.5 is public hearing of resolution number 229-25, a request submitted by Liam McGuire of MPLD Consulting on behalf of Broadway Northwood LLC for right-of-way abandonment of a 25-foot wide, 3,125 square foot parcel, which consists of the south one half of 29th Street, which is contiguous and north of Lot 10 for a workforce housing development. Okay. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam President, and the rest of the esteemed commission and staff. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. It's been a long road to get here, and I'm really excited to finally be before you this evening. So my name is Rebecca Miller. I am the president of MPLD Consulting. My office address is 528 Northwood Road, West Palm Beach, Florida, 33407. And I am the owner's representative for the Prime Company, who is the owner and developer, builder, and designer of this project. And with me, I also have my team for any questions later on. Simmons and White are my civil engineer and traffic engineer. In addition to, I have my landscape architect. Actually, she is not here this evening, so I can answer all of her questions. So it's a pleasure to be here again, and I'll jump right into it. Everyone has been very efficient this evening, so I feel very stressed. All right, let's start us off. We have the title of the slide saying, Bringing Renewal to Broadway. And for about 2.5 years, I've been working on this project with Prime, and I'm a resident of Old Northwood Historic District, and my office, as I've just stated, is on Northwood Road. I'm very activated in my area, and from the moment I became a part of this project, I've been very passionate about it. I think that we are, as a community, very excited about it, and I hope to prove it and show you this beautiful project this evening. Just to preface, we did come in 2.5 years ago to meet with staff, to meet with Mr. Mayor, and to meet with various members of the community over 2 different charrettes, both with immediate neighbors and with the general public. And we took all of the feedback prior to submitting our proposal and did, in fact, act upon every single one of them. So we're very excited to be here tonight and to be here with as cohesive a project as this. As you can see up in front of you, this is an architect-driven project. This is a beautiful, beautiful building. This is an expensive building. This is a Deco-inspired building with curved, beautiful balustrades and permanent art facing 3 different directions, and a terraced effect on the back. From this picture here, you can see I have an intense presence from 8 stories on Broadway, and half of a building as I terrace back from the side, and along my Old Northwood neighborhood, I have 2 stories. And so then I terrace way back from any sight lines and distance lines from the neighborhood. So it's as beautiful a design structure that could possibly go and fit onto that piece of property. My site specs are 167 units. That dynamic is mainly 1-bedroom apartments and studio apartments, and I have a small percentage of 2-bedroom apartments. I have 8 stories of workforce living, and I have on-site parking and I have a cascading privacy terraces. We've tried to make this building as green as possible. As you can see, from the images before you right now, from every angle, this building has a green elevation in the sense of green terrace walls, cascading greenery. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. So the Live Local SB 102 workforce housing program, as stipulated by the state, was utilized for this project. And as I understand it, I think to date I'm still the first project to utilize it in the city. I'm not sure. Am I still the first one? I think so. Have you heard any other Live Local? And so within that dynamic, there's been a challenge as far as getting here, because we are the first. The first one always absorbs some of the barbs and then some of the challenges of working through the process. The difference with the Live Local program, as it's enforced by the state, is it's based upon the AMI of the county we're in, and the average median income in Palm Beach County is $104,000. So we have a very, very luxe median income in the sense of being buoyed up by all of our different areas. So our number is pretty good here. And congratulations to all of you who are sitting here, because you're all a part of the reason why it is so good. So I wanted to take you through a couple of the metrics here. The average rent in the city of West Palm Beach, I think this will surprise some of you. I pulled this data today. So it's absolutely current and of today's date. My resource was rent.com and the Florida Housing Finance Corporation. So the average monthly rent in the city of West Palm Beach right now is $2,999. So let's say $3,000 for a studio. And at the AMI is interesting, the Live Local is interesting. It's 120%. At 40% of your building, 120%. That's what the bill says. So the city had some challenges to us with that, and again, echoing Ken's response regarding his last project, Prime Development has worked with the city ongoing. In every single occurrence of a question coming at them, we have made concessions, we have moved things around, and we have, in the last 2 weeks, made some additional concessions to this project. One of which is 120% of AMI was lowered to 100%. You currently have an affordable housing paradigm of 80, 100, 120. We met in the middle at 100, and we actually, in fact, offered the city staff to make the entire building 100%. And that was declined for various reasons, I'm sure, because the city, I think, wants to have a dynamic, integrated building. And that mixed use is very important to the city. So just to give you an idea of what an AMI rent means to our West Palm Beach rent, is you've got a $3,000 rent for a studio. Ours would be $2,000. I'm rounding. $2,047. So that is a difference of $11,424 to that person every year. And strangely enough, if you'll note here, our one-bedroom prices go down, which speaks to all of the new construction studio units in downtown West Palm Beach. Our average monthly for a one-bedroom is $25.72, and the AMI price is $21.93. By the way, that is the top price. That is the limit. And for a total savings of $4,548. And then the two-bedroom is averaged at $32.95 in the city of West Palm Beach. Ours is at $26.30 for a savings of $79.80. So there's a considerable savings and a considerable impact for this type of housing in our city. So one of the things that Old Northwood had in mind when I first started speaking to them was the looking for additional walls. This district of the city, this historic district, fought very hard for separation from Broadway to close off the streets. And I know that Sylvia, who represented our district at the time, worked very, very hard for those concessions. We don't want to mess with those concessions at all. What we want to do is actually do something that the neighborhood asked us to do, which is to build walls. Our only wall that is currently in place in the style that we're proposing is on 35th Street. And that is the model for everything that we've put forward here. We're offering a new wall on both 28th and 29th Streets. Currently on 28th Street, there is a wall that's in bad shape and drops people at an awkward angle into the neighborhood. So we're fixing that. And we also have obligated ourselves towards maintaining the walls, the landscape, and paying for the lighting on the walls. So, so just to show you where currently these walls are proposed, as you can see, the green areas cutting off the end of the block to vehicular traffic only. Pedestrian traffic will still remain. Here is a wall facing east. That is the 28th Street wall, and that is the view facing east. Right now, if you can see, that is a wall that got set at an odd angle. As you come north along the alley there, you drop right into 28th Street, and a lot of traffic comes down that street. Our proposed design is to move the wall to the east side of the alleyway and stop all vehicular traffic from going in through that alleyway into the 28th Street feeder. This is the wall as when we're looking at it from inside our neighborhood of Old Northwood on 28th Street, and that's what the wall looks like. It's not too attractive. And this is the proposed wall. So as you can see, we have a beautiful landscape, and it will really change the feeling of this particular street. This is the wall, pardon me, this is the view looking 29th Street East. There is no wall there. There's currently a curb cut, so you still can't get through, and I'll show you on the ensuing slide. This is our proposed east view. Here is the current view looking west. We have a curb cut, and it's not the best. Currently, at the end of this cul-de-sac can be somewhat of a parking lot for folks that are looking at attending various other locations within the Broadway corridor. So this is what the wall will look like facing west on 29th Street now. Looks different. So as you can see from this slide, this again shows where we're indicating these two new walls go. And here's the views again from both sides. I like these views of the building because it really highlights that terraced effect that we've taken great lengths to demonstrate and design. So being a good neighbor is very important to this developer. I have both Chris and Brian, the two brothers who own Prime, with me here tonight, and they are seated, and if you see double, don't worry, they are identical twins. So as we look east here, we have the first several houses that would be probably the greatest impacted on 28th and 29th. So what we did was we created a site guideline to show what visibility the tenants of this building would have from their terraced rear porches. And as you can see, due to the fact that we're instigating a 5-foot-high green wall at the end of every terrace to both give the inhabitants privacy, because it goes both ways, and to give the neighborhood privacy from any sort of interloping or sight lines. So as you can see, that the first apartment on the 3rd floor there skips right over to the end of the 5th house and drops onto Spruce Street. So you can see where the sight lines are with little people. Shows the blocked sight lines. You can't look down. Takes us over there. Now we've got the 4th and 5th floors there that are even higher than the 3rd was. We go over, and you can see that the sight lines are generated in a very, very long view way and not into any sort of direct yard. So as you know, this building is going on Broadway, and Broadway is being discussed at great length right now through multiple rejuvenation attempts and city designs, and we're really excited about it. We need something to start it. We need this project to start this. because we need good design. One thing about living in our neighborhood is the amount of architects and professionals that live in our neighborhood who really care about good design. I care about good design. I didn't want tilted construction with a couple of balconies on it. I want good design because that will be the catalyst to everything else that comes here. If you can drive good design to your neighborhood, and considering currently what's in that neighborhood, that empty lot where we currently are proposing our building, when we first arrived, we had to have a very, very aggressive police presence and crew emptying out that lot from all sorts of behaviors that aren't necessarily what anyone living a house width or 2 house widths away from. It's been an issue, it's been a vagrant property for 20 years. We're saying we're going to come in, we're going to build beautiful walls and be amazing neighbors. One of the cool things about this project is Yala Ford. She is an artist that Prime has hired, and she's out of Orlando, but she's done other projects in the city of West Palm Beach. And she looked at the city and some of the old city maps, Mangonia, and she made a design out of that and kind of the old streets and how they run for her muse, if you will, and then congregated it together. And as you can see on the right side, that building has permanent art. That is a grid system that is going on 70 feet on every one of those cross sections there. 70 feet of very beautiful art that is going to also create a beautiful presence in the evening hours where we really need it on Broadway. Most stuff goes down on Broadway. I live a block away from Broadway. I know about Broadway. It goes down at night. So this is a beautiful effort to create a system where we are creating a warmth of presence and activated areas that are going to cause this kind of vagrancy to stop. As you can see, the artwork is lit up from the back and it just will glow. We can pick any color. That's just demonstration. So any color, I think they'll have 6 or 7 different colors they can choose from. So at Christmas, they can show red and that kind of thing. So it's more than just living. One of the key parameters of this development is to instill to incorporate a state-of-the-art co-working space. So we have them downtown. We have them. We have one that just opened up on Poinciatas, and I think is very successful. But none of it's done right where people live, and we're creating a center right where people live, so that they'll have the resources to be able to work from home, have the equipment they need to make copies and do everything else, and also get a shot of espresso. There's a meeting room where they can have meetings, and it's for our residents only, and it's an amazing concept to be able to provide, especially the young professional adults we would assume are going to live here. On the 8th floor amenities deck, we have just a wading pool. Really, it's really for cooling effect, no deep sea diving there. And it's a narrow presence, and it only affords us a beautiful view for folks to go out and sit and look at the Intracoastal from Broadway. So before you tonight, you have several variances. I will aggregate the landscape together, but just to point out a few of them to you. We have currently along our alleyway on the Broadway side, a 15-foot minimum setback. And we are requesting just a 10-inch setback from the rear alley. We have underground parking, and the underground parking minimum width requires us to be at that level. And I can have our engineer speak to it just a little bit more later on if you'd like. But there is a driving reason why we need to go the way we're going. And in order to deal with it, we have many other instances of much less of a setback along our alleyways, along the Northwood corridor, and also along the Broadway corridor. And we hope that seeing the kinds of things that we've agreed to do, in addition to speaking with staff at a very late date, we agreed to also add another level of green at the first floor that will trail down into the alley. So the other issue, required parking spaces is the big one. in front of you tonight, I think for a lot of my neighbors and possibly for some of you. So at this point, we do a lot of analysis when we're looking at workforce housing. And one of the things that workforce housing allows us to do is to, of course, have a 15% reduction. And so that is something that if we had had a 15% reduction on our application, we would not have a waiver before you. And our aggregate amount of parking spaces that we're actually asking for a break from is 6 parking spaces. It's 6. So we realize and we understand. I have great respect, admiration, and love in many instances for my neighbors. And I would expect that we would be able to manage this very, very well. One of the other issues that, and how we would maybe veer away from the typical situation is your code tells us how many small parking spaces and how many big parking spaces we're allowed to have, and your 30% max for small parking spaces is something that we are asking a reprieve from. We're asking for 61 small parking spaces. That is a difference of 20 parking spaces. We feel that these folks haven't saved up for their Escalades yet, and a lot of them are driving smaller vehicles. And those metrics really do bear out. And again, our traffic engineer can speak to that later on. The number of landscape buffers we have, I'm going to just take you through our landscape. We have a buffer reduction. We have trees. Incidentally, the city code right now requires somewhere in the neighborhood of about 160 trees on this site. And we're unable to do that without building a building. Many of them are shade trees and have a circumference around them that actually don't allow for planting at that level. So that is something to look at, certainly as we move further into the BMUD discussions. I think we need to design a code that works for the types of lots that are available. I would love to work with our city to do that. And so as far as the landscape, we have some issues on this site again. And one of them is at either corner we have a right-of-way. So we're bordered on either side, 28th and 29th Street, and that is governed because it's pulling out onto Broadway by FDOT. So we have minimal trees that we can plant in there. We had more on our landscape plan initially, but we were asked to remove them. We also had some landscape trees that were into the sidewalk and with all sorts of issues and complications that would cause to what is underneath those. So we opted for what we have here, but I have let city know that any landscape the city would like us to put in front of this building or beside this building that is allowed by your utilities divisions and the government, the Florida DOT, we will do. Some suggestions have been made to do planters, additional planters. That's fine. We're willing and perfectly able to do that. One last point here is we have mechanical system screening. This is somewhat vague in the sense of what kind of systems are you talking about? And primarily we're talking about a very large transformer. Currently on 33rd Street on the city-owned right-of-way, there's the same transformer that has no landscape around it and no fence whatsoever. So the city is also constrained by the same parameters we are. However, we have suggested putting a fence around this transformer and the other equipment that is there. It unfortunately needs a certain amount of distance because of the heavy amount of electricity going through it, and we can't put it right up against our building with this particular kind of construction. And so whatever the city would like, if they'd like me to put a cement flower, some sort of a barrier around it from above the ground, we can do it. Again, I'm perfectly willing off the boards to work with staff to design whatever the staff wants. So these are all of the bus stops in red within a half a mile of our site. So we have 16. This does not include the 60 bike storage room, which is a high-tech storage room for bicycles. They come in and bring them in, and they get put on these little conveyors and go up high, and the code is 20, and we're giving our residents 60 spaces for 60 bikes. And it doesn't include your newly approved trolley system that I think you just approved, Rose Trolley, to run down Broadway. And we have actually been working with Rose Trolley to create a trolley stop directly in front of our building. And so I would like to thank Commissioner Ward for suggesting that. So the right-of-way abandonment that we have up on your, as I think is the next item for discussion is a portion in the yellow at the top of your screen. We have a lot of utilities, and unfortunately, we really need a little bit more space, and we would like to buy that space from you, and I think the staff has recommended approval. And it will allow us to create the kind of synergies we need under the ground to get, all of our apartment and everything built to the kind of standards we're hoping to do. So in that area, we have currently proposed a green area, a green space, very limited to the types of trees that we can grow there because everything that's underneath it. Again, we'll look at planters, we'll look at whatever the city recommends for us to put in there. We do have benches in that area. Currently, it's a vagrant site. It is not in the best of condition, and we think that this greatly improves our corridor. That's the end of my presentation, and I want to thank each one of you for your time, the work that you've put in to getting us here, to the staff. This has been a long haul, so I appreciate every single one of you, and we look forward to any questions you might have.
Thank you for that presentation. Do we have any questions for the applicant before we hear from staff? Commissioner Ward.
Thank you. Quickly, I think you answered this at a community meeting, but are only tenants allowed to use the shared co-working space, or is that for public use too?
Hi, the tenants are only allowed to use the co-working space. We do have a boardroom that may be leased out for neighborhood use.
Thank you.
President Lambert.
Thank you so much for the thank you so much for the presentation. You're right, it is a very beautiful building. I'm excited to see good design there. I have a couple questions. I don't know if this is going to be addressed in the staff presentation as well, but you talked about the average rent in the city and then did the comparison to the AMI at 100%. That was citywide, so it included all rent throughout the entire city or just the specific area?
Nope, that is the city of West Palm Beach.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant before we hear from staff? All right, staff?
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, good day, Mayor Commissioners. Jermaine Swaby, Planning and Zoning Senior Planner for the record. And as you stated, we'll be combining item 10.4 and 10.5 for the special review and abandonment in this presentation. Before I start, I'd like to provide the city clerk with a letter of objection provided by a resident. So I'm gonna pass it on. All right, so just some additional information which is needed for background information purposes. So the subject area outlined in red was previously designated as a Broadway mixed-use district type 1, and it's 0.75 acres in size. The lot is currently vacant, and it's located between 29th and 28th Street on the east side of Broadway, as mentioned by the applicant. And the uses to the east is historic family homes. To the north and south, you have multifamily uses. And west of the site, you have an addiction rehab facility, vacant lots, and multifamily use on the other side of Broadway. So the proposed abandonment is adjacent to the north side of the subject property. It's shown in yellow, and which the abandonment is on the southern half of 29th Street. And currently, the proposal includes moving the closure from the location shown in orange here to the location shown in green just west of the alley. So when the project was first filed, the lot was regulated under BMOD 1, which allowed a maximum of 3 stories. So to achieve the desired height of 8 stories, which the applicant was wanted, they also wanted the 86 feet in height. The project was submitted pursuant to the Live Local Act. And for the Live Local Act, the requirement is that it's a mixed-use building. So just for some clarification, if it's a mixed-use project, then that working space, which is on the first floor, would have to be accessible by the public. And also, 40% of the units should be affordable with a maximum rent of 120% area median income. So the Live Local Act allows for the applicant a maximum height based on the current highest allowed height for commercial or residential located within 1 mile of the proposed development, or 3 stories, whichever is higher. So this permitted the applicant the 86 feet height that they requested, and also the applicant can request a waiver of 15% of the required parking. Staff is okay with a height, which is close to the current BMOD regulations. However, the applicant requires compliance for setback, landscaping, and parking requirement, which is of an issue. And therefore, the regulations require that these waivers and variances are brought before you, the City Commission, as a special review. So initially, when the application was received under the Live Local Act, staff indicated that the applicant project required compliance in accordance with the code. So to accommodate the submittal, amendments were made in February of this year to the code, which would allow the City Commission to vote on the requested waivers and variances. So here we have a comparison of the site plan, which was initially submitted on the left-hand side, and it shows that there hasn't been much changes to the overall footprint of the building on site. So the red line outlines the property line, and as you can see, it pretty much fills out much of the property parameters. Additionally, the initial request included the abandonment of the right-of-way to accommodate their mechanical equipment, which they were unable to provide on site. So, this is pretty much a little bit unconventional in the request to place just mechanical equipment in the abandonment. And to add again that the quantity of units that is requested on site does attribute to the issues that we have with the amount of space that they have to work with. So the applicant is requesting a total of 8 waivers and variances shown, which applicant indicates is needed for their development. And also it necessitates the need for the abandonment shown in yellow at the top, where they're placing their mechanical equipment such as transformers and their backflow water pump. So of the list of the 5 waivers outlined in red, we're provided with the conditions to address staff concerns, which we feel is very important. So one concern is a variance 1, which is a variance from the required 15 feet rear setback to provide 10 inches, which they requested for a 95% reduction. Concern with variance 2, which is a variance from 167 parking spaces with a reduction of 32 spaces. Concern with variant 4 and waiver 1, which is to provide 2 trees out of the 28 landscape buffer trees, and a waiver from the requirement for the number of trees per dwelling unit, which staff is not pushing at the moment with regards to the quantity, which would be a little bit restrictive for design within Broadway. But the shade trees for the buffers is more of the focus. and waiver 2, which has eliminated the requirement for the 10 feet landscape buffer along Broadway, and also waiver 4, which is a screening for the mechanical equipment in the abandonment. So given the potential impact due to the quantity of waivers and the requests, the city has asked that the applicant work with us, and they have, to provide more affordable project reflective of the market rate within the area. So staff did a quick comparative study of the Florida Housing Finance Corporation rental at 120% AMI and a market rate of a one-bedroom, which shows an average difference of $1,600. So this comparison that we did compared to theirs was more reflective of the units within proximity of Broadway and not the whole city. So therefore, instead of the applicant's original request to have 120% AMI for all of the affordable units, staff had proposed that all restricted units shall be rented to families with income at 100% AMI or below. If similar market rate units within the building are leased at the established rent for 100% AMI, the restricted units shall be leased at 10% below the market rates. So as previously mentioned, the applicant request includes the reduction of the 15-feet rear setback to 10 inches. So to mitigate this reduction, staff has provided a condition that the green wall at the rear of the property must be retained, in addition to the provision of a 4 feet setback at the second floor level, and it's shown in the screen on red where that setback would be. And it would be along the rear of the property, which would include linear planters, which should be irrigated to maintain it. Sorry. So the applicant has also requested a reduction in the parking from 167 spaces to 135. And the parking requirement for the BMUD district, just to note, is low compared to the citywide requirements to accommodate the size of lots that's there. So what you have is not really reflective of what is outside of that district. And given the request for the reduction in parking, with no exterior parking around, the reduction would force residents to park on public streets, which may incite neighborhood complaints. Therefore, staff recommends a yearly contribution of $33,570 to the city's mobility system for the future transport system within proximity of the development. Additionally, a study shall be conducted when the project reaches a minimum of 85% residential unit occupancy, which thereafter would require annually to indicate whether additional spaces are in demand. And if those are in demand, the project shall provide an off-site facility or valet service to accommodate the parking within 6 months of the finding. And this would be enforced through an agreement with the city. And I would like to add that the applicant does not agree with paying both. Therefore, staff would recommend that the mobility system payments would be mandatory in the absence of the valet system or off-site parking. The applicant also requests a reduction in the required trees for both landscape buffer and the required amount per unit to provide, as I stated before, 2 trees. So to address this shortage, staff recommends that the applicant replaces the palm trees towards the, for the landscape buffer. So they would replace the palm trees provided along the southern part of the property. It's shown in circle with those three circles toward the south, and they would replace them with shade trees. Also, the infiltration trench and mechanical equipment with the amendment has limited the provision of landscaping to a site which has already scarce landscaping provided. So therefore, to accommodate some of the trees within this location, staff recommends the redesign of the planters, shown in yellow, those 3 small planters in the amendment, to make them larger and to accommodate for shade trees and seating, as well as screening of the mechanical equipment. So this would help to beautify the abandonment that is heavily occupied by mechanical equipment, and the images are also provided on your screen as examples of the proposed equipment within the abandonment. So the shade trees would also be requested along Broadway as well, if possible, but there isn't much possibility with given the site constraints at the moment. And I'll go further into details as to how the applicant has suggested that they will address this. Staff has also added condition that any required trees not provided on site would require a payment in lieu to the city at a cost of $500 per tree. So more on the payment in lieu. So this payment in lieu would be made to the tree mitigation fund for trees required on site, where it is used for the purchase and planting of trees on city property, such as city-owned parks, landscape strips, on public residential streets, or plantable areas along city right-of-way. And to go further into that 10-foot requirement, so the applicant is requesting a waiver of that required 10-foot landscape buffer along Broadway. So you have a visual here before you, which shows a reduction of that frontage required landscape buffer, which is shown in red. So this would set the building back, if it was provided, around 18 feet from the back of curb. And here you can see the visual difference of the building encroaching within that landscape buffer zone. So the applicant has opted to waive the requirement with consideration of future Broadway right-of-way improvements, which they mentioned would provide that 10-foot shared pathway along Broadway right-of-way, which they say is in development. Now, staff finds that the general standards found in section 94-552 G3 meet the standards subject to the conditions. Staff finds that the parking waiver standards found in section 94-552 G4 meet the standards subject to the conditions. Also, staff find that the landscape waivers and standards are met for 94-552 G5 subject to the conditions provided by staff. And staff is recommending approval of the resolution 229-25 for the abandonment. And staff is recommending approval of resolution 228-25 with the recommended conditions which assist in mitigating the impact of the requested waivers and variances. But I would like to add also that staff's initial comments for a redesign would provide the most community benefit due to the less impacts for the of the requested waivers and variances. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you for that presentation. Go back to slides 14 and 15, please. Okay, so yeah, 13, 14, and 15. So when you say the standards are met subject to conditions, if the conditions aren't met, then the standard's not met, correct?
Correct.
Do I interpret that correctly?
Correctly, yes.
Okay, so if the conditions aren't met, the standards aren't met.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Questions, comments? Commissioner Ward?
I have quite a
Commissioner
few,
Fox.
so I'll stop and then, can you go to slide 10, please? And then this may be more applicable to 12 as well, but so the landscape buffering along the west side, we've had discussion about this. Obviously, we adopted the revisions to BMUD a little bit ago. I'm looking at the property boundary. Where could you fit a tree on there if they wanted to fit one on the west side of that building? That wouldn't encroach upon FDOT.
So with the current regulation, you'd have a 7-foot landscape strip that would abut on the western portion of the site within the property. That would be the current regulations. And currently, the past regulations for BMUD 1 would require 10 foot instead of the 7 that we're requesting currently.
Okay, so essentially they're buildings in the area
Correct.
that we're requesting for there to be open space.
Correct.
Okay. I have more, but I'll
Okay, all right, we're going to make our way around. Commissioner Fox?
Thank you. I just want to clarify what you said about the $33,000 for the parking mitigation. I think in agenda review, you had mentioned that they had not agreed to that. Are you saying that they have agreed to it at this point?
They have agreed to it. However, they haven't agreed to both the mobility amount of 33 plus, as well as the valet concurrently. So what they're asking is that it be either one or the other. So staff has mentioned that in the absence of the provision of the mobility, they don't have to pay. If they provide a valet system or the off-site parking, they don't have to pay that mobility.
Okay, and are you satisfied that that will address the parking issues that you've been concerned about?
With the study, and if it is that they do provide that required addition of parking, then it would help to mitigate the issue.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we'll go back to you, Commissioner Ward.
Do you know whether there's another image showing the median along the Broadway corridor as well? I thought a lot of those were going away. I'm just trying to see final vision, not pretty picture vision, of any type of foliage for the experienced person along Broadway. Is there going to be foliage in the middle in a median? Is that going away? Or is there going to be any possibility? Ana Maria, do you know?
Good evening, Ana Maria Ponte, Development Services Director. Commissioner, the design for the Broadway Reimagine project, basically what they do is they remove the median, and the square footage that is on the median, they will be allocated to the east side of Broadway. In some portions, and depending on the design, if it is a turning lane, they will have kind of a divider, so a portion of the square footage will be left in there, but the other will be allocated on the east side of Broadway. What happens is the design is preliminary. We don't have designs from FDOT right now, so I cannot tell you for certain what will be. It will be a matter of the specific block, how much the FDOT wants a 12-foot multipurpose path on the east side. So depending on where the building is, the new building is located, if they can accommodate the 12 feet multipurpose path and left space for the planting, they could put it, but with this design, it will be tight. Typically, and that's what we did with the BMOD, to be able to plant trees next to the curb, you need the planting area to be at least 7 feet to meet the kind of the clearance for the trees from the travel lane, because FDOT has very specific standards. So when their project shows the 3-foot buffer or planting area next to the curb, that will not be sufficient to plant any trees. That's why engineer told them to remove it. They cannot meet FDOT standards to plant any trees in there. So that buffer has to be at least 7 feet in order to plant any trees in there.
Okay.
Commissioner Warren?
It seems as though the applicant really is attempting to use every amount of space available for residences. In the event that the efforts to accommodate parking are not sufficient, and that is determined at a later time, can you tell me again what the solution would be if it's determined later that it's not sufficient?
Well, what we are suggesting as a condition of approval is that they will have to conduct an independent survey of the parking demand once the building reaches at least 85% occupancy. So we will know really with the occupants already in the building, how many cars do they have. If the tenants are not being able to satisfy their parking needs within the building, with the parking spaces that are provided in there, the tenant or the applicant has to provide or valet parking operations within the building, or an off-site facility where those parking cars can be parked to satisfy.
Follow up.
Yes. So are we providing any type of guidance to the survey company on what it is that we're expecting the outcomes to be? How is it determined that it's satisfactory and not satisfactory unless we provide?
Our traffic engineer is here and she helped us to draft that.
Good evening, Veronica Altuve, traffic engineer for City of West Palm Beach. The applicant will have to come to us and we will have to discuss a methodology meeting. But part of the condition, a very brief request, is that the applicant has to provide from an independent traffic consultant a study. The study right now, as we envision it, minor the details, is for them to conduct a parking demand study within the footprint of their garage, but also within 600 feet of the site, they have to also conduct a parking study along all of the residential streets using license plate recognitions. The applicant will have to make sure that the vehicles for the residents that live in this building are registered with the tags, with their license plates, so that, number one, we can understand if there's anybody that belongs into this building that is parking within the residential streets, because obviously we do not want the residents within the area to be impacted. So in a nutshell, that's the study that we will be requiring of the applicant, independent traffic engineer, to conduct and provide to us.
Additional follow-up, Mayor?
Yes.
So in the event that they have guests that utilize the on-street parking, how would that be captured?
I am glad you mentioned that. The BMUD regulations only requires one space per unit, right? It doesn't require spaces for guests like the rest of the city does. And you're absolutely right. We would not be able to capture visitors that come to this building because their license plates are not going to be registered within the lease office, within their lease agreement.
Okay. President Lambert, we'll get back to you.
Thank you. I am very excited to see this space utilized with something that is so beautiful. I think there was a slide on here that there hasn't been anything on here for 20 years. I know that the photos that were shown were extremely beautiful and will beautify those streets. The walls that will be worked on, I think, are beautiful. But I'm really having a hard time with the waivers that are being requested, given that so much accommodation was given through the Live Local Act and through that process. And so I appreciate that the applicant has worked with staff and that there was some accommodation given to the workforce housing, but I don't know if you can put back up the slide of the cost for the surrounding area of the 1 and 2 bedroom and studio apartments. It's a big difference than if we're looking at the total city. And so what I'm trying to do is balance the request that's being asked of us in what is being provided in return for that and what is the community benefit. And so to me, the workforce housing, we heard from one of our school board members earlier today that is something that the city can continue to partner with to help retain great teachers and principals. And so I'm excited that we have the opportunity to negotiate some workforce housing, but it does still worry me that even at the 100% AMI, that it's still well above the market rate for this area. While it might be below the market rate of the average of the entire city, I'm just struggling with that balance.
Okay. Commissioner Ward?
To go just into the right-of-way a little bit, because thank you for those comments, President Lambert, I agree. The recommendation is for approval of the right-of-way abandonment, and then you mentioned in the comments that you'd want a pocket park, but what part of that would ensure that there would be a pocket park if we approved the ROW?
Is this for the applicant?
No, it's for staff because they're saying that they approve, but they would prefer it to be, I'm just trying to understand why you're
I think what you mean is
staff recommendation for approval.
So the improvements that staff recommend would be to the tree planters, which is due to the reason that they didn't provide sufficient trees on site. So we just wanted to vegetate some part of the site, especially the abandonment, which is a city benefit in itself, and to beautify those planters with which would accommodate larger trees and also possibly some seeding within that area as well. So,
yes.
So what part of this though is it built in this approval for this item that in 10.5 that there would be certain standards?
So let me go to the conditions. Let's see. Okay, so if you look at condition 2, the applicant shall work with the staff to redesign the abandonment of the right-of-way to provide better planting conditions for the proposed potted shade trees and to enhance the mechanical equipment screening and install shade trees, just so that would be for the abandonment and also the screening of
So it is
the
built
mechanical
into it.
equipment.
Okay. I have more questions.
You sure you do have some more?
I do.
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine, that's fine. Commissioner Fox?
My question was also going to be about the abandonment. I have concerns. I know that the street is currently closed, but if we decide on this abandonment, does that mean that the street will forever have to be closed? I mean, that we're making a permanent decision going on to in the future that the mechanical equipment will be there and this road will never be able to be utilized by the public?
So the understanding is that even though this is abandoned, you could possibly reopen, but of course, engineer and traffic engineer would have to work to ensure that given the abandonment of the southern half, there may be some traffic issues and so forth within that quirkiness of how it's designed to address how traffic flows in that area. So there has to be, certain consideration with whatever future design is in accordance to what is proposed. But that is something that, technically the traffic engineers would have to look at separately. It's not within my current purview as to how that would work currently. But
once we abandon it.
Yeah, so traffic engineer, they reviewed it. The traffic engineer, they reviewed it and they found that given what is proposed, it could currently work, and
No.
Mayor, what happens is the abandonment is only for the half of the right-of-way. So the north half of the right-of-way will remain open. So if in the future the city decides to remove the new wall that is proposed on the east side, the road could be open. It's going to be a very odd
road.
Yes, it's going to be a very odd configuration because east of the wall, it's a full right-of-way, and then between the wall and Broadway will be only half, so it will be very narrow. So it's like odd. So, I don't think that will be something that will be recommended. So if the half of the road is abandoned, I think that will basically make the closure permanent.
Did you have a follow-up, Commissioner?
Thank you. That's what I was worried about. So if we were to approve the project but not approve the abandonment, what would the next steps be, I guess, in terms of how this project would move forward?
The project needs to be redesigned because the reason why they are requesting the abandonment is the building that they are proposing is so big and occupies so much of the site that they could not accommodate on their own site the utilities. And that's why they are resorting to us for the right-of-way abandonment. They could not fit the utilities within their project without redesigning. The building could be redesigned and modified and accommodate and meet the current requirements, and it would be a smaller building, but not under the current conditions, so we'll have to redesign the project.
Commissioner Ward.
Just to follow up, Commissioner Fox, those roadways, I think that anybody in the area would say they would never want those reopened. But there was an issue, and there's been a longstanding issue as to where the road was cut off, east or west of the commercial district. And part of what we approved with the B-MUD redesign was an anticipation that some developers would come in and try to utilize those right-of-ways. We're not allowed, FDOT's not designing this to allow on-street parking like you have in Dixie in the corridor there. There is very, very little parking. So during a lot of these meetings, we talked about, well, maybe you have side parking there. Maybe you create pocket parks. Maybe you extend your building so that we have more connectivity and there aren't these empty areas. But the concept was never to get rid of these road closures. I think the proof of concept is there. Old Northwood has thrived from these road closures. And in fact, I would love to see that west side going up because we do want commercialization. We want more density, but we also want to protect our neighborhoods. And I know that, you having some of the south end and President Lambert having some of the south end knows that the commercialization that they've had there, it's a benefit, but you have a lot of people parking in these residential streets. And so that is one way, and I don't like calling it walling it off, but you do want to restrict it to bicycle and pedestrian, avenues to be able to get in and out. We've got families in the neighborhoods now that want to enjoy the streets without having people carve in and using it as a pass-through. So I just wanted to clarify that because that's a rumor mill that always goes around, is that we're trying to open those streets. And as far as I know, that is not the case. And in fact, we were trying to enhance those closures to make them more active so that we can get people on Broadway, not shying away from Broadway. That's not my question, sorry.
Go ahead to your question.
All right. So just to clarify, what one of the recommendations, so you say yes approval, but we have these standards of conditions of what? Is there one slide that shows exactly, if I miss it, of these are the ones we're asking for that they're not meeting, that they're not saying yes, we're going to do both, or yes, we're going to do all of these?
So, let's see. So the slides, they don't implicitly say what they will not be what they'll not be supporting from staff, but the main one that I highlighted was for the parking, which is item 5, which we discussed, which was that they would not want to do both the mobility as well as the valet or off-site parking at the same time.
Okay.
And if there's any differences, does that cover it? Okay. Yes.
Did you have a follow-up? Would you have more questions?
No, I'm finished with my questions.
All of them? Yeah. Okay, no problem. Commissioner Warren?
No.
Any other questions? Okay, we do have several cards. I'm going to read out names, and I'll read out 4 names. If you hear your name, if you start making your way or lining up behind a podium. Sylvia Moffitt, Tim O'Regan, Bill Garato, and Chad Delk. Sylvia Moffitt. Good to see you again, Ms. Moffitt.
Shall I begin?
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you. Nice to see you, Mayor and Commissioners. I appreciate your taking the time to really look at this nice project. I really think it's beautiful.
Just state your name for the record, please.
Oh, pardon me. My name is Sylvia Moffitt. I live in the 500 block of 35th Street in Old Northwood. I think that really my main concern is with parking. And I know that because of SB 102 that was used, the Live Local Act, it seems that they are allowed to have quite a lessened number of units of parking compared to the number of apartments in the building. So I think one of my main concerns about parking is they are having some wonderful ideas with this building. They're having the conference room, which is great, but that's open to the public and it's on an hourly basis. Where are those people going to park? Where are the people who come to visit the residents going to park? Where are the people who come to work for the people who live in the residents going to park? So there's a lot of stuff that I think needs to be discussed. And also, when you think about workforce housing, when I do anyway, I think of teachers, firefighters, that kind of thing. So it seems to me that it's unfortunate the SB 102 Live Local didn't think about an aggregate of what would be the average salary of these types of people. We don't want the millionaires factoring in to get the standard cost of what would be the average income. So I think that's a problem too. The idea that there are 32 less parking spaces than the number of units doesn't really fly, because there are a lot of people who, if they're teachers, Florida is last in the whole United States of the salaries for public school teachers. If you have that going for you, you might have 2 teachers renting the same place. Likely they might have 2 cars. They might have to go to 2 different jobs. So there are things that are a problem. But I wish that, that we had more parking. And I'm awfully glad the city is telling them to do a parking study at 85% occupancy. I think that's really a good idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tim O'Regan.
Commissioners, Mayor, Tim O'Regan, and I'm the owner of Interstellar Properties, which is the owner of 3000 Broadway, which is the property that's immediately north of the proposed Deco Northwood, and probably the property that's most impacted by this. So I have some prepared comments, which I submitted to the clerk, and it was initially submitted for points 10.4 or point 10.4, but it applies to 10.5 as well. So if the record could state that, that would be great. So we've seen some great renderings here. We've heard some great rhetoric, and I take my hat off to Rebecca and the Elsleys. It's wonderful. But what outdoes all of that is the audaciousness of this project. I mean, I think we all see that every square inch that can be built is being built. And I've been financing real estate projects for a long time, my entire career, and there are 1,000 ways that you can make this lot pencil out, given the cost basis that they have, and still be more respectful of the community. Build, develop, improve, for sure. But there's no reason why you have to be so bloated and grow so big to have to encompass half of a city street. I've never seen that in my entire life, where a developer has the gall to say, okay, we want to build everything we can and then some, and take public property for private benefit. It's outrageous, absolutely outrageous. So when I bought this property, probably 8 or 9 years ago, it was a flop house and a crack den. Literally, it was boarded up and it was condemned. Open up the doors, which were boarded up, the windows were boarded up, there were vials, needles, mattresses strewn about, and our neighbors can attest to what was happening there. But I saw it was blocked off at 29th Street, so you didn't have the through traffic to the Broadway artery where all the trouble would flow in. And I said, okay, I can see how this quiet tree-lined street can absorb this property, and I could turn this into something beautiful. And that's what I did. Spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and this is early, before Northwood is what it is today, and what Jeff Green is doing, what the city is doing. So it's been improved, and that has cleaned up that area and that block. So that's great. But now all of that is at risk because of what these guys are proposing. So take a look at the yellow area, which Jermaine has highlighted there. So that's 15 feet of road that's being left over. And what can you get down there? A fire engine is over 10 feet wide. A Tesla, 7.5 feet wide. You can't get an emergency service vehicle and a car past each other on that spit. And one of the things that this is now going to do to us is put a straitjacket around us. There's no way that we can redevelop this property at any point in the future, which is what we intended when we acquired it, with that little spit of land. You can't get a construction crane down there. You can't get a fire engine down there. You can't have any through traffic there. All the parking that's on street now, that goes away. There's no way to turn around. There's no way to integrate into the city or the Old Northwood neighborhood, which is why we bought the property, because it was part of that. All that goes away because the development that's been proposed is so ridiculous.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, Mayor, since you combined 10.4 and 10.5, could I have an extra minute or two?
Well, I'm calling the names for 10.4. If you file another card for 10.5, then you'll probably get another chance.
Thank you. I have one in there. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Bill Grotto.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and the Commission. My name is Bill Grotto. I live at 407 30th Street here in Old Northwood. And today I'm speaking to you as a resident, not as the chairman of the Old Northwood Steering Committee. I need to make sure I separate those two things. I lived here for a long time, and I've seen a lot of vacant lots. And I've seen the developers come in and they put the fence up and then they put the silt fence up and it tells you about the name of the place and it's going to be great. And there are all these promises and they do all this outreach and then they disappear. Here we have a responsible developer that's put together a beautiful building that respects the heritage of our historic district, which they don't have to do, by the way. Let's all be clear. They're not in the Old Northwood Historic District. They don't have to do that. The step back is mindful of the people who live in the surrounding areas, and all of the aesthetics that they're putting in place would be the most major improvement that there ever could be in that area, because I know that area really well, and it's not terribly sightly. So to remove the blight would be fantastic. West Palm Beach is burgeoning city. We live here. Growth is inconvenient. There's traffic, there's people, there's parking, there's lines, it's a wait. That's the deal. That's what happens when you're living in a burgeoning city. So let's, in order for there to be a win-win, everybody has to walk away from the table feeling like they lose something. Okay, so we don't even know how many people that move there are gonna have cars. This is maybe not the most, it's not perfect, but let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater, as they say. I think for anyone that stands in opposition of this, whether it's my neighbor, my friends who live there, who they hate me now because I'm the chair of the steering committee. You guys know what happens when you're in politics. If you stand in opposition to this, what I would just ask you to think about before you cast your vote or before you share your opinion, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? To have vacant lots? To have vacant lots again for another 20 years? What's the alternative? Let's make this work because it can. And it's the best thing that we've had come to the Broadway corridor, I think, in a long, long time. So with that said, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Chad Delk.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, excuse me, thanks for letting us speak. I guess I'll quickly start with a rebuttal to that last comment. I think that would be a very almost gross negligence of letting someone off the hook because our only alternative is what else. I think we all have committed in this community to make the B-MUD to be a success. We all want that. We want densification of our infrastructure, resources, somewhere to live, to be proud of, that our people here who are part of our workforce can live and be proud and afford it. That is a given. We all know that. But to be at the place to think that what else, and we just have to accept whatever is given to us. This is West Palm Beach. Like, we have a lot of people moving here. We don't have to just take these developers who are coming in from other places to try to throw in the most maximized property they can think of. We gave them an inch. They ran with it for a mile. I agree. I love the property, the concept. If it was like 10% smaller, right? Like, these are things that any real estate developer knows. They, as was mentioned, you can pencil this out. This is doable. What they need to know is that someone is going to push back. They've pushed us in our chest to say that this is the most we can do. It is incumbent of us in the community to say, push back a little bit. This can be a success for our community. It can be a success for you. This is not like a charity. We know that. It has to be good for the community, has to be good for the developer, because we want more developers to come into our space and continue to develop. We want to be in a place where we want more developers to come. But as an alternative to say, what else are we going to get, is totally throwing up your hands in the face of a lot of development that's coming. And I think, just as a rebuttal to that last comment, I think is misguided.
Okay, now that you finished rebuttal, just state your name for the record, please.
I'm sorry. I got really excited on that last one. Sorry, Chad Delk. I live at the 500 block on 28th Street, so I am directly on the street being impacted. We just bought the home. We were really excited about this community. And again, I love the idea that there are things that are coming. Anyone buying a home in that area knows we want that to come. That's kind of the bet you're taking. Curry Park renovation, Olara, Nora project. It is an amazing amount of development happening right now. That does not mean we need to roll over to developers that say they're going to maximize every single thing, every single inch. The parking is the issue, in our opinion, too. We just saw how beautiful that is going to look when it's all done. Amazing. Love that. That's great. But at the end of the day, if I were someone living in there, I would park on my street. And that's why so many of us are here, because they would do the same thing. So we're all here to say, let's have some common sense. You developed an architect's building, and you've kind of thrown around a lot of things. It's expensive, it's green, it's great. By the way, when you add 20 small car spots, it's because they didn't want to present 40 or 50 spots that were less. They thought, let's increase 20. Let's put that out there as a big 50% increase so that we could maybe get away with 32 and see if we get the approval to do that. I got it. Like, it's business people. They're being savvy. You're not fooling the rest of us. It's sort of insulting to think you could. But at the end of the day, we need to be smart about this. They can pencil this out to make it work by being a bit more thoughtful about the public space and the parking. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to read some more cards. Okay. By the way, this first set of cards are people who signed up for 10.4. As you may recall, we read both of those into the same, so there may be people who signed for 10.5 who will get another chance to speak. But this is folks who signed up for 10.4. John Feldman, Michael Morgades, Darlene Marley. Mr. Feldman.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is John Feldman. I live at 521 28th Street in the Old Northwood District. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Rebecca and her team. It is an absolutely beautiful design. But if you look at what they're asking for, 90%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. It's just too big. We all know it. The white elephant in this room is the design and the scope and the scale of this building. It does not fit the lot. It does not meet with everything that goes around it. It doesn't meet with the functionality. B-Mud and Broadway, compared to the South End, is starting at a deficit of parking, okay? So we need to encourage developers to look forward to make something sustainable and successful for the north end of our city, which is the last frontier of development that we all have. It needs to be better than the South End. It needs to be better than downtown. We need to learn from what we did in the past and make something better, something more successful. I do believe that this can be achieved. This may be able to be achieved with this developer. But whatever decisions we make on this sets a precedent, not just for this building, for the next two, for the next three, all the way up to 36th Street, all the way through B-Mud, all the way to the port. So I'm asking you to set a precedent with this that brings sustainable and successful future to the north end of West Palm Beach. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael Morgades.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Michael Morgades. Good evening, everyone. First of all, you were right. That is a beautiful building, but that's not what it's going to look like if they get what they want. So it's very misleading if you think about it. Let's get a picture of what it will look like if they don't put up the landscaping. Anyways, my name is Michael Morgades. I'm on 522 28th Street. Let me start by saying we're not against development in Old Northwood. We want to see Broadway come back to life. But progress should never mean abandoning the standards that make West Palm Beach beautiful and livable. What's being asked here isn't progress, it's a series of shortcuts, and shortcuts always have a cost. Setbacks and screening. The Deco project is designed for a zero lot line, eliminating 15 rear setbacks from the city required. It also asks to skip all the screening for mechanical systems, meaning large unit utilities sit fully exposed for houses and sidewalks. This might not sound, it sounds small on paper. In reality, it changes the character of the entire block. This kind of expectation would never be allowed on Flagler, and it shouldn't be allowed here either. Now, parking, as we all heard, is a very big issue. And, you know, it is true. Do you think like each person that lives in this building is only gonna have one car? This is people are gonna be married. The people are gonna have kids, might have a teenager with a vehicle. It's really, that is just not really, let's be honest, gonna happen that way. Also, the 35 parking spaces, and they're asking for 60, that's a 20% deficit, as we all know. Now, I remember Ms. Miller said that people in this building can't afford an Escalade, but they can afford valet. Let's be honest. I think that is definitely not the way that we want things to go. Anyways, so we'll talk about the landscaping and a lack of it. The project asks for remove 100% of all required landscaping and buffering on either side. That's no green spaces, no trees, no buffering between concrete and community. We live in Florida. The beautiful city is lush, subtropical character. In a block of just solid concrete isn't revitalization. Now, the neighborhood impact, Old Northwood is over a century old and historic. Walkable neighborhoods full of charm and character. When a massive 8-story building project pushes right against our border, it doesn't just alter our skyline, it alters our way of life. We're deeply concerned about construction trucks on small streets, damage to our alleys, increased noise, lighting, parking congestion, and the overall safety of residents. And perhaps most importantly, the precedent that John did explain. Now, we did say some things that everyone kept saying here was like if and possibly, but Mayor, you said if conditions aren't met, the standards aren't met. And that's extremely important to remember. Now, we do desire growth, but real progress doesn't come from bending the rules, it comes from upholding them. We're asking the council to set a tone of smart, sustainable development that respects the neighborhood that built this city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Darlene Marley.
Hello, I'm Darlene Marley. I'm a resident 420 28th Street. I have been a member of this community for over 31 years, and I love Art Deco architecture. So this is a beautiful design, beautiful building, and I can't, compliment them enough on that. But, have you ever heard of the expression trying to get 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag? I feel like that's what this project is. It is a beautiful attempt to, improve the whole area and the whole neighborhood. But it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the existing infrastructure. We already have parking problems in the neighborhood. We already have traffic problems in the neighborhood. And it is just, again, I think if you just try to scale it back and make it fit in a 5-pound lot instead of 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound lot, it's, that area, it could be a complement to the neighborhood, but not at this scale. It is really going to detract from the quality of life of the residents that are already there and the future residents. Thank you.
Jennifer Murch.
Good evening, mayors and commissioners. My name is Jennifer Murch, and I live on 521 28th Street, the 5th house in. Is it realistic to build 67 condos without adequate parking for each resident, let alone the businesses, customers, and everyone else that's going to be in the neighborhood? Old Northwood Streets will most definitely become the overflow parking option for not only Deco, but all future buildings. Pretty scary. Which we are already at capacity with homeowners' vehicles. Please don't think that we are naive to think that this will not happen. It's evidence that this builder has already taken this into consideration. This building is wall to wall. It's nothing but building. 2 trees, no landscape, no rear or front setbacks, no green space. What do the residents want? How about noise from the building that will occur without proper shielding from its mechanical? All it seems is far-fetched that this developer has such an ask for such waivers on a massive building, not to mention careless and foolish. But here we are. Without proper planning, anything is possible, but Deco needs to go back to the drawing board. Old Northwood, first historically registered place in West Palm Beach. Let's think about that. My home was built in 1923. She's over 100 years old. What does that mean? She's fragile. She needs and requires care. My home, while has been restored, is a gem in the neighborhood. Let's talk about all the things that are also historic: the plumbing, the electrical, the alleys, the streets. I still have plaster walls. What will happen when the first beams from this 8-story building begin to be pounded into the ground? Wow, it's kind of scary to think about, all right? Let's also think about the water and all the plumbing lines in our alleys. Man, I'd hate to see another massive water main break, because that would be devastating to every homeowner. It's about infrastructure. This is the last viable land in West Palm Beach. Is it valuable? Absolutely. The north end could be a gem of West Palm Beach. Should we be giving it all away to build sky high, curb to curb? Can we take some time to actually really think about what this area and development could be and needs. We should all have learned from the previous building in the south end, or even just south of City Place. Parking is an issue. Giving the developer every waiver and variance that they are asking for is not only a dangerous precedent moving forward, but to the residents, homeowners, businesses, et cetera, in the north end, it's a huge slap in the face. There's so much to be developed in Broadway and BMUD moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, there are several people, again, this is on 10.4, who wanted their comments read into the record. Richard Bencher Butcher, who lives on 29th Street, do not allow 2900 Broadway variances. This is a burden on the historic area. We will be flooded with parking. Thane Kammerer, who lives on 28th Street, parking is already a huge problem on 28th Street. I am very concerned about the lack of parking spaces at the future building and how it will impact the neighborhood. Mitchell Zastrow, who lives on 31st Street, I'm in favor of the Deco Northwood and any variances to move forward with improving Broadway. Bruce Ingram, who lives on 31st Street, I support all the variances. And Sandra Saladrigas, parking support variances. Okay, so that's 10.4. Now we will go to those who sign cards for 10.5, and we may have some duplicates, but that's what happens in this game. Okay, if I read your name, please approach the podium. Brian Sharp, Darlene Marley, and Tim O'Regan. Brian Sharp.
Mayor, Commissioners, Brian Sharp. I live at the 433 28th Street, and I basically didn't understand that 10.4 was not 10.5 was not 10.4.
That's okay.
The parking is an issue. Traffic study to be done after we're 85% complete. Why isn't it done before the building starts? They don't want to do a traffic study now because they're going to find out the truth. The project needs to be scaled back. 32 cars are going to park on 28th Street and 29th Street, and more than that will park because of the visitors and the workers. So it's just, to me, it's just an overbuilt, over-designed project. It can be scaled back, it could pencil, and I think you should take that into consideration. Thanks.
Thank you. Darlene Marley?
I said my piece.
Okay. Tim O'Regan?
So Tim O'Regan, 3000 Broadway. I gave my impassioned opening there, so now I'll get down to some brass tacks. So under section 782173 of the city code, the city may not abandon a right-of-way that violates property rights or impairs access. So that yellow strip there, that 100% impedes access, and of course is going to diminish the value of my property. Nobody can get in there. Nobody can park there. Emergency vehicles can't go. You can't have construction vehicles in there. You can't do anything with that property once that strip has been abandoned. We're also, we sound like a broken record with regards to the parking, but at least 200 parking spots would be needed for a property like this. Not even close to what's being offered here. And to take the approach that staff has recommended, allowing them to develop and then do a study later, that's not addressing the issue, that's abdicating responsibility. It has to be addressed up front, just to try to let them develop and then have a valet or a couple of valets and do a study later and just try to get the cat back in the bag. That doesn't make any sense. The plan also calls for transformers, switchgear in the public street, 15 feet away from my property. That's a clear violation of section 94-220 D7, which requires mechanicals to be screened and located on site. Setbacks and buffers are gutted. You've got an 84-foot structure, which will stand inches from home, stripping away light, air, and privacy. These aren't minor adjustments. Approving this stack of exceptions is tantamount to throwing out the zoning code in one fell swoop. I mean, why have a code book if it's just going to be tossed out when one developer comes knocking and saying he needs something when there's so many other things that he could do which would be compliant and be much more suitable for this neighborhood? And this is not just an isolated event. If you look into the prime company's history, you'll find lots of instances where they've come across the same type of friction with commissions such as you. So there was the Hoffman Estates in Illinois, Anderson Village, Love Thy Neighbor, ironically named, and it met resistance from all the communities where they proposed, and it's the same thing, a bloated development that was too big for the lot that they had. So this is just a repeat. They also own 3 other lots in the area along Broadway. So if you play ball here, you can just rest assured you're gonna have the same thing happening right up the block. So I want development. I think they've done a nice job with their designs. Just scale it back. Make sure it works for the community because this is just ridiculous. So don't sell Northwood's future short for some short-term gains. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So we do have, again, several cards that just wanted the comments read into the record. Richard Butcher, to have to give half the road in order to put this monster is absurd. Protect Northwood's historic neighborhood. Mitchell Zastrow, I'm in favor of Depot Northwood, all 4 variances. He lives on 31st Street. Bruce Ingram also lives on 31st Street. I support the variance. Sandra Saladrigas, thank you. Okay, is in favor of the project. And then there is a letter, from Tim O'Regan. All right, Tim, I'm not gonna read your letter. You just talked, right? You talked twice. Do you need me to read your letter? You just spoke, right? Tim O'Regan, I got this statement here.
He spoke twice.
What's the protocol?
Well, you don't get to write a letter and speak. All right, so you just spoke, so I'm not gonna read the statement. Okay, I mean, it can go into the record, but I'm not gonna read it out now. You just spoke. Okay, that is all of the cards that we have. And I don't know if the applicant wanted an opportunity to address some of the concerns. You certainly have the opportunity to do that.
Yes, good evening. My name's Chris Elsey. Our office is at 2021 Venesta Place, Suite A in Manhattan, Kansas. So it's great to be down here. So to address some of the concerns. So as you can imagine, we do development all over the country, and parking is always a hot button issue. And so I think what the staff has proposed and what we would be in favor of is we do want to be good neighbors, and we do want to monitor the parking, and we have the means either through the valet or, as was previously mentioned, we own other lots in Northwood within 500 feet of the property. We will take care of any parking concerns. I personally don't believe we're going to have parking issues. I don't believe as we move forward with technology, with Uber and self-driving and all of that, eventually our car dependency is going to be less, not more. But we will have a traffic study done. It obviously needs to be when we hit occupancy or close to occupancy, so we know, how much cars. Like I can tell you, hey, I don't think there's going to be a parking problem. We can have traffic engineers telling you, hey, we don't think there's going to be a parking problem. But until we actually get residents there and we go do a parking study and go to the work to actually see what happens, and we are willing to do that. And if there is a problem, we will address it. Again, from a developer standpoint, if it's a need and I can't rent apartments because I don't have on-site parking, I gotta have it. And so it kind of drives the market for what I've got. So I hear the residents' concern about the parking. I understand that. And I think this is a good solution in place that, hey, we're gonna, again, per the Live Local Act, we're only like 6 stalls off of what we could do by right. And then again, the challenge with this property, if you're wondering why this property hasn't been developed in the past, is that it's a narrow property. It's 125 feet deep. And to get a double loaded parking, so you've got a drive aisle and parking on both sides, you basically need 123 feet. And so rather than having the parking above grade where it's an eyesore or making the building taller, we're going, I think it's a blessing actually, we don't hit water here till 14 feet. So we can do underground parking here, not have a bunch of above ground parking that we're having to look at. But that's expensive to do. And in order to do that, we gotta have it all the way at, we can't it has to be 123 feet. That's the dimension. And the lot's 125 feet. So that's why we have these variance requests, is because we want the parking to be underground, and to do it, it has to be 123 feet. And then to the comments about the landscaping. So I actually went to school as a landscape architect. And so with these step terraces that we have, that's where we're trying to implement these landscape requirements and have, beautiful outdoor spaces for our residents. And again, I think the desire along Broadway is when you have people along the street, that's where you have activity and action and eyes on the street. And I think per the Broadway improvements and the visioning plan there is you want to get activity and activation along the street. And so that's why we've tried to bring the building up to there. If we pull the building off, again, like these tree wells and stuff, that's just, it's so tight because we have to get that underground parking in there, and we can't basically set the tree on top of our underground parking. So that's why we are so kind of compressed with our parking. As far as the rental rates, like the 100, again, like per the Live Local Act, we're offering, the requirement is 120% AMI on 40% of the units. We're offering 100% AMI on 100% of the units. And I understand that the study done was just, if you looked at all those addresses, those were all Broadway addresses within adjacency to the property, but those are all older rental buildings, and that's why they have those depressed rents. So we also do low-income housing tax credit projects, and that's also a common thing that we'll see, is that we'll build projects and the rent will actually be more than a substandard kind of class D or C building and our affordable rents. But the tenants, like here they're getting an A-class building for B-class rents. And so really that's, we can't make it work. Like we're the developer, so we're the architect, the builder, and the property manager. And so we need those rents to be able to justify building a very nice building. And so again, just to recap, I understand the concerns about the parking. We will monitor the parking. We will make sure, or to our very best, that the city, that we don't get angry calls about, hey, they're being overflow parking. But we need these variances so we can put the parking underground. That's basically why we need these variances. So if there's other questions, I can certainly answer them for you. But I really appreciate it. It's been a long haul, and you guys do. You have an awesome community. We go all over the place, and yeah, this is a happening place. So appreciate being here.
You hear the questions for the applicant while we have him here. Commissioner Baduzzi.
Thank you, and I appreciate your explanation with regard to the parking and that you're going to monitor the parking. My concerns are the parking also, and as I said, I appreciate that you're going to monitor it, but you've got units, 167 units, studio, 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms. Proposed 135 parking spaces. When people come in to apply for a space, you're going to be inquiring, and I apologize if you already addressed this, are you going to be inquiring about the number of vehicles they have when they come in? Did you already address that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be the management company, and we currently do that. We make them register with their vehicles.
And I think when you're talking about a studio, okay, maybe they have one car, maybe they're planning on taking a ride share program, but when you get into the 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, I think it's more likely they're going to have at least one vehicle. Do you feel confident, and as you said, the market drives it, you're not going to be able to rent these things very easily if you're not providing parking, but we're concerned also with parking that spills over into our residential streets. Are you confident that you're going to have enough parking spaces with 135 with the number of units that you have?
Yes, I am. Yeah. So we've got about 2,200 units throughout the country. And I would say our on average just parking demand is about at 65%. That's where we're at. So we build Los Angeles, Manhattan, Kansas, Minneapolis, Columbus, Ohio, all over. So people always have a huge perception that the parking is going to be a problem. And again, I acknowledge that. I think those are valid concerns. We're going to study it. We're going to make sure, and I think the important thing is not only we're going to study it, but we have a solution in place if it is a problem. So you may be 100% right. And then we'll either not be able to lease those units, or we'll adjust, we'll do valet parking, which would increase the parking capacity significantly, or we have those additional lots that we could do.
All right, listen, we're not, if you want to go huddle with him, you can, but we don't take comments just.
Yeah, so the valet parking is how that works is like, you have a valet attendant and then they go park the car kind of like a Tetris basically, and you can, increase your parking capacity by probably 60, 70 stalls at least by doing that. They don't understand that the valet parking, the cars are all parking in the parking garage. They think you're taking it somewhere else. Okay, yeah. The parking is in the parking garage through the valet attendant. They're not taking it off-site.
So you can get more stalls in the parking garage. They
Yeah.
don't understand that.
Okay, are we clear that we can get more parking capacity inside the building with the valet? That's what that offers to us.
Okay.
Follow up, Mayor?
Yes, follow up.
It's been a long time since I've rented an apartment, but if I look back to college or to law school, when I had to do it and I went into the rental office, they would tell me, okay, your apartment comes with this one space. They give me the space number or 2 spaces. Are you going to be telling people that they have a space that they're assigned to?
No, this is classified what we call unbundled parking. So that means that you don't have an assigned stall. There will be a gate, to basically, where we would, just so our residents and we wouldn't just have regular people, it's basically past the entrance so many feet. And so we can accommodate, we'll probably have maybe some guest stalls as well. But there will not be assigned parking stalls. So that's part of is when you have people coming and going, that's part of the capacity.
And one last question, follow-up.
Sure.
Can you assure us that once you reach that capacity by renting out these units and you realize you've got 135 cars and you've got, 70 or 80% of these units rented out, that you will either find an alternative through the valet or that you will stop taking leases with vehicles? Is there a way to do that?
Well, yeah, that's what we've agreed to with the city and with the city traffic engineer with this study. Yeah, and we're going to continually to monitor that. So,
thank you.
President Lambert.
Thank you. I understand, and obviously on this agenda tonight and previously, we have passed and authorized waivers and variances that allow for accommodations. I think that's a great tool in our toolbox to be able to fine-tune a project to meet the needs of the city and the residents and all the stakeholders. I would like to continue to still work on this with you through our staff because I feel like you came to the city and utilized the Live Local Act, which gives a lot of leeway already, and then are asking for additional. And I'm just having a real hard time with the community benefits that we're getting in return for the additional waivers that are being asked. And so, as you have mentioned and others have mentioned, and one thing that I have loved about the north end of our city is you all get it, that we need to continue to grow. We need great projects. We don't want to have vacant lots, but we do want to have the right projects in our city. And so I don't want to give up on this project, but I would like to fine tune it to make it the right project for this lot.
Any other? Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. I think my question is more directed to staff, but I know that there was one of your neighbors came up to speak about his property being impacted by this potential easement, and I am not familiar with how else he would get into his property, but he made it seem as if we give the easement and that no longer traffic can come on that road, that he would not have a way to get into his property. So I don't know if staff can speak to that, because that is a big concern to me. I don't know what the liability is here for the city giving away access to other people's ability to get into their own property.
So, of course, this was reviewed by traffic engineering staff. So the abandonment would be for the southern half of a 50-foot right-of-way. So there'll be 25-foot right-of-way towards the north of it, which would be open. And based on their analysis, you'd be able to do a small two-way roadway there.
Yes.
Do you know if that's the only way for him to get into that property? Because if you're saying only two small cars could utilize, I just want to understand, because he made it seem as if this was the way he was going to be directing business into his property. And so I just want to be assured that we're not taking away someone else's ability to run their, whatever it is that they're going to be putting on there.
Yeah, it wasn't relayed to me that this would hinder access to the northern part of the site, of the roadway, sorry, which is where the property owner lives.
Okay.
No. All right, any other questions, comments for staff? No. All right, yeah, you're part of the applicant, so if you needed to.
I think there's a lot of confusion on the right-of-way, and I just wanted to make sure. We are putting in a two-way road that currently, the only way he can access his property currently, he's not a part of Old Northwood, just to be clear. He's on the commercial corridor there. The lot immediately to the west of the alley is a part of the Broadway Northwood area, but the alley actually divides Old Northwood. So currently his tenants are driving in through 29th Street, through the Old Northwood neighborhood to access his property. What we are doing instead, we're putting a wall on the east side of the 28th Street, blocking off the Old Northwood and opening up the street to Broadway. So his tenants will go in and out of Broadway. And currently he has a couple of unfixed up driveways on his property that are in such disrepair, no one can park in the driveway for his duplex. And so that is a part of the problem, and part of the problem of multiple cars at the end of that cul-de-sac currently. So just to be clear, currently he comes from Point Sieta through Old Northwood on 28th Street, all the way to the end of 28th Street and parks in the cul-de-sac. What we are doing, I'm proposing, is to put the wall on the east side, which is what most of Old Northwood is relieved about because it has had issues in the past, is to put a wall on the east side of 28th Street. I'm so sorry, 29th Street, and opening up the curb cut currently in place to Broadway. So he has a regular road that comes into his property. And if the driveways for his property are repaired on his duplex, he has adequate space for his clients to park. Thank you.
All right, any other questions, concerns for the applicant or for staff? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I don't know why this is phrased this way or necessary, but I move denial of resolution number 22825 based on findings that the project, subject to the conditions set forth in the resolution, does not comply with the variance and waiver standards established by section 94-552G of the Zoning and Land Development Regulations.
Been moved, is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to the motion, like sign. Okay, hearing no opposition, I think everyone voted. Hearing no opposition, the motion carries unanimously. Everyone vote? I didn't hear. Okay, all right. The resolution is denied. Okay, thank you. All right, that's 10-4, 10-5. That is it, right? Yeah, now, we'll now turn to comments from the public. Do we have any cards for general comment?
Mayor?
Oh, 10.6. Oh, no, we got to vote on 10.5.
Yeah,
Right,
yes,
right,
yes,
right.
let's
My
vote.
bad, my bad. Okay. 10.5. I will, any further discussion on 10.5? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
My confusion stands, but like deny resolution number 22925? I didn't think we had to, if we weren't going to approve stuff, deny it.
You,
but
you would, yes, you would move,
I'll go on record. I move to deny resolution number 229-25.
right.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. Now 10.6. Public hearing of resolution number 248-25, a special site plan review request by Tyler Woolsey of Urban Design Studio, along with Spina O'Rourke and Partners, on behalf of the City of West Palm Beach and VDG Land Company, LLC, to allow for a multifamily residential plan development consisting of 155 residential units, which includes 79 workforce housing units on the subject property located within the multifamily high-density residential zoning district, with the waiver request and variance request from the city's land zoning and land development regulations. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam President, Commissioners. My name is Rob Dinsmore with Urban Design Studio for the 2460 North Australian Avenue project. Here on behalf this evening of the property owners, the City of West Palm Beach, and VDG Land Company, and the applicant VDG Partners Limited. The request before you this evening is a special site plan review for a multifamily residential development through the Affordable and Workforce Housing Overlay and Density Bonus Incentive with waiver and associated variances. The project site is located east of North Australian Avenue, just south of 25th Street. It consists of 3 separate parcels, roughly 2.46 acres in size. On September 29th, this commission approved an amendment ordinances for revised future land use to MF and rezoning to MF 32. Also approved was a sale and purchase agreement, workforce housing agreement, and related easements to facilitate the development of an employee-based workforce housing project. The site plan before you tonight reflects development proposal for an employee housing campus designed in partnership with a local hospitality group with the specific needs of the hospitality workforce in mind. That proposed site plan includes a single mid-rise 8-story residential multifamily building with 155 dwelling units, 79 of which are workforce housing units, a surface parking lot, residential sport field and pool, and extensive interior amenities on the ground level, including business center, club room, focus rooms, fitness center, salon, conference rooms, etc. The site plan also offers 75% open space as single driveway access off of North Australian. Important to note that through that driveway there is unencumbered access to the city's lift station parcel that is along the eastern side of our property, not included within this development. And inside the building, a dedicated bike storage room of 213 spaces. Along with this proposal, what is being offered is an employer-offered shuttle service that is going to be able to move the residents of this building to and from their place of employment to a local grocer, as well as to local retail options. The proposed building is a modern architectural style. As you can see, multiple variations in vertical and horizontal design elements and recesses and projections, the balconies, the windows, that does reduce the monotony and blank walls of the architectural building. Another important item to note in the image on the left is the substantial amount of landscaping offered along Australian Boulevard. That is to improve that pedestrian experience in that area. So to execute the desired program and to deliver on those site plan elements that I just listed, we do have a waiver request along with 8 variances. And these requests kind of fall into 2 separate categories. There are requests that are subject to encumbrances along the southern portion of this site due to utilities and utility easements. And then there are requests associated with the unique nature of the project and the efficient and well amenitized site plan. So first, we are requesting a waiver to the required decorative wall along the southern landscape buffer. That area in blue that is denoted on that southern piece of the property is in itself an entirety 85-foot wide drainage, utility, and access easement for the purpose of that lift station. And within that, there are existing utilities that encumber several items. There's sanitary, stormwater, and water utilities within that area. So there is a water line that falls almost directly under where that wall would be required. We can't place a structure on top of that line, so we are asking for relief from that item. Also, we have 3 landscape variances. One is to reduce the number of required trees on that southern landscape buffer, again, for all the reasons I listed previously. We also have conflicts with required parking island and divider median trees. That total request of those trees that are being lost in the encumbered area is 21. We are actually relocating 18 of those trees into landscape buffers around the remainder of the property. So we're providing the required number of landscape buffer trees plus additional trees to make up for that loss. The last landscape request we have is for the code requirement for 1 tree per every multifamily unit. Based on that encumbrance on the southern portion of the site and the program and the desire to deliver on a well-amenitized site plan, we're a little short on space, but we are providing 124 total trees on the project site. We are also requesting a parking variance to allow for 65 parking spaces on site. The unique nature of this employee housing campus means that the focus is on the unique nature of the hospitality workforce that it is actually serving. In this case, the majority of the employees do not have personal vehicles. They utilize alternative modes of transportation, whether that's ride sharing, bicycles, or the employee offered shuttle service that I described previously. And so one of the other added benefits to this is that amenitized first floor of this building that is going to offer certain unique uses like that salon, like a fitness center use that is going to take some of that demand off that local transportation system. Another request that we are asking for is to the minimum lot area associated with the MF32 zoning. We do have existing uses in private ownership north and south of us that limit us from increasing our lot size. The next batch of variances that we're requesting have to do with setbacks. With this unique nature of the building that we have and the unique nature of this site and the desire to amenitize it well for these employees from the hospitality user, we did have to get creative with the building shape, and we are requesting variances to the front, sides, and rear setbacks of the building, as well as a mechanical equipment setback request. However, it should be noted that given the substantial landscape buffer along the right-of-way, in the way that we've designed the site, that mechanical equipment will be fully screened from any public viewing. Staff has determined that we do comply with the design standards with the Affordable Workforce Housing Overlay and the Density Bonus Program, as well as the reviewing standards for the waivers and variance requests associated with the same, along with complying with conditions. I will note staff is recommending approval of all the requests in front of you, and the applicant is in agreement with the conditions of approval associated with this as revised. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. Before we bring staff up, are there any questions of the applicant? Okay, staff? Saeed?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. For the record, Kevin DeFrank, Senior Planner with the Development Services Department. So for the subject agenda item, it involves resolution number 248-25, which involves the special site plan review and waiver and variances associated with the multifamily residential development proposal that includes workforce housing. And the applicant's agent provided a thorough explanation of the request. And staff does not object to the waiver requested from the decorative wall requirement. Staff does not object to the variance requested from the minimum lot area requirement. Staff does not object to the variances requested from the building setbacks requirements. Staff does not object to the variance requested from the mechanical equipment setback encroachment allowance. And staff does not object to the requested variances from the minimum landscape tree standards. And staff does not object to the variance requested from the vehicular parking spaces requirement. And therefore, staff finds the request subject to the proposed conditions complies with Affordable and Workforce Housing Overlay Program General Review Standards. And staff finds the request subject to the proposed regulation conditions complies with the Affordable and Workforce Housing Overlay Program Variances and Waivers General Standards. And therefore, staff is recommending approval of resolution number 248-25. And I would like to submit into the record the updated proposed resolution number 248-25, which reflects changes and updates to the conditions. And those changes are reflected in the updated condition number 5, as stated here, and updates.
Slow down. Let us digest these, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
And changes to and updates to proposed conditions number 10 and 11 as reflected on the screen.
So are they required to do a traffic study then? I mean, not a traffic, a parking study.
If they move forward and remove the required workforce housing units,
Okay.
and or the required shuttle service program.
Okay. 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 Okay.
And that concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, thank you. Questions for staff? Commissioner Ward?
I'm just a little,
Lambert?
oh, sorry.
No.
I'm just a little confused by this addition. So they've already agreed to these staff these conditions that you just handed us? That's
Yes.
already, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
President Lambert?
Thank you. And this might be for the applicant, but is it the intention that it's all employees who will be living there? But that then 51% is at the workforce restriction? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant? Any cards? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move approval of resolution number 248-25 based on the findings that the proposed workforce housing development project with the 12 conditions set forth in the resolution complies with the Affordable and Workforce Housing Overlay OWHO program standards established in section 94-552 of the city's zoning and land development regulations.
Second.
So moved and seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, now we can turn to public comment. Okay. All right. Got a few cards. Emily and Conrad Stogowski, Joshua Velez, and Michael Cleveland. So, Emily Orr, one of you come up.
Great job saying my last name correctly.
Oh, well, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Emily Stogowski, and that's my husband, Conrad Stogowski. We have lived off of Forest Hill Boulevard for over a year now. I'm asking this council to investigate and resolve the dangerous traffic and safety issues around Forest Hill Community High School. Every school day, hundreds of cars, buses, and pedestrians converge on a narrow stretch of Forest Hill Boulevard with no proper sidewalk on the west side of the street. This creates an unsafe environment for everyone. Students walking in the street or across driveways, parents blocking lanes to pick up their children, litter piling up on neighbors' properties, and residents unable to safely exit their homes during peak hours. The combination of poor traffic flow, no pedestrian infrastructure, and constant congestion has turned this area into a serious daily hazard. Over time, these conditions have eroded both safety and trust. Residents are growing frustrated watching the same issues play out year after year, and parents continue resorting to unsafe pickup methods because there's simply no better system in place. The lack of planning not only endangers students, but also discourages neighborhood investment and damages property value. We need a coordinated response that treats this as a citywide safety concern and not just a school inconvenience. So far, city staff and school have listened to dozens of complaints, but solutions have not materialized. I've personally postponed renovations to my home because until these safety and traffic hazards are addressed, investing feels uncertain, not just for me, but others in our neighborhood as well. Everyone here has a stake in solving this issue. These daily risks discourage improvements and undermine our confidence in neighborhood progress. That's why I'm asking all of you tonight, both as a homeowner and a Palm Beach County teacher, please commit to creating an official agenda item for an upcoming council meeting to fully investigate these problems and work with residents, school officials, and city engineers on a real action plan that benefits homeowners and protects students around the Forest Hill Community High School. I'm happy to provide copies of videos and photographs that I've documented over the past year or help in any way I can to move this forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I'll have staff look into that and see what the requirements are for addressing those concerns, and I'll have someone get back to you. Okay. Ms. Johnson, can you make sure that we have somebody look into that and then get her a response? Joshua Velez, Joshua? Okay, numbers are small. Okay, Michael Cleveland, I don't see him here. Okay, all right. We do have one card that did not want to stay. Steve Wazak, who lives on Flagler Drive. I noticed that at the meetings I attended, no elected official ever spoke about citizens' concern, but several spoke very wholeheartedly about Great Gulf. Okay, thank you, Mr. Wazak. All right, we'll now turn to comments from the dais, and we'll just wait here for the commissioner, the president of the commission, to get back to her seat, because protocol says the president starts the comments. So.
Sorry, I wanted to get her contact information to follow up.
Okay. That's all right.
So I know she's gone, but what I do want to share with Emily and Conrad and anybody who has concerns there is that I know in the recent past we have had extensive traffic studies done there. I'm happy to look at those again. I know that we had also extensive meetings with stakeholders in that area, including the school district and the principal from Forest Hill High School, but it might warrant another look at that. So I'll pull all that information out and share that with them and any others who might be interested. Let's see, I have a few items. You know, it seems like all of the neighborhoods tend to have their neighborhood meetings on the same rotating basis, so you get a flurry of meetings. And it still surprises me that a lot of people haven't heard of or aren't utilizing WPB Key. And so it's just something I'm constantly sharing. And so I wanted to bring that up in case we can all continue to share it, but also to tell those who might be listening or watching that WPB Key is an app that you can download, Android or iPhone, and it's a wonderful way to take photos and to have direct connection with City Hall to report issues or concerns and to get a response back from staff. And if you ever find that you're not getting a response, to please contact either City Hall directly or through one of the commissioners, and our aides are very good at tracking down the answers if for some reason something fell through the cracks. I think a number of us received this today, a letter from the FOP regarding an ongoing police department matter with command staff. I have not had time. The letter was extremely lengthy and provided a lot of additional information and details, but I did notice that these concerns were very serious, and I just wanted to make sure that we had a chance to either be briefed from administration on this letter. I don't know if you all have seen the letter. I'll be happy to forward it to you, and hopefully—
Yeah, forward. I didn't see it.
I will forward that, and hopefully that we can receive a briefing on the city's response to this. And then finally, I just wanted to wish Commissioner Warren a happy belated birthday. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Baduzzi.
Thank you. I don't have any comments other than to wish Commissioner Warren a happy birthday, and I'm sorry if I forgot to text you.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. I love it that we are an audience of one. Steve, thanks for staying. I wanted to let you all know that West Palm Beach CAT will be holding their next career fair for the Intro to Construction classes. This will begin on November 10th through the 12th. And if you want any information, it's info@wpbcat.org. These are free intro classes, and there will be jobs provided after the training. So it's a great opportunity for anyone looking to get into the construction field. Our next CRA community meeting will be held next Thursday, November 6th at 6 p.m., and it will be held at the Sunset Lounge, inside the Sunset Lounge. I've told Chris that he needs to tell everyone there's no tours unless they stay for the entire meeting so that they can hear all of our good information, but I know people are excited to get inside, and we do have a lot of other information to share, so I hope anyone who has been interested in either seeing the Sunset Lounge or hearing all of the things that are happening in the historic Northwest, I hope you will join us on November 6th. I also did want to mention the same thing that Commissioner Lambert mentioned about the letter from FOP, so I will appreciate having any updates as well once administration has had a chance to look at the letter. And I did want to also ask Administrator Johnson if we could have a work session to discuss the future of the Salvation Army. I know that many in the community are now have heard about some of the future decisions that we might be talking about, and you know, I don't want it to sneak up on us where it appears on an agenda where this commission has not had the chance to talk about it. It's a really pivotal location for our city right now. The Salvation Army is leasing from us for 100 years. I do think that it's not a secret to this board that I have not always seen eye to eye with the previous leadership of the Salvation Army, and you know, wondered what the future would look like for them. But I also am very concerned about the neighborhood. You know, since PAL's closed, we don't have a lot of places for our youth to be mentored and to have you know, after school care. And so I don't want to see the Salvation Army closing without having other opportunities for the youth in the neighborhood. So I wanted to make sure that it was on the radar of everyone on this board, because it is a big decision, I think, for our future. And so I hope that we will be able to have an appropriate discussion at some point. And other than that, we still have the opportunity to sing a happy birthday to both Commissioner Warren and the belated birthday we never got to sing to Commissioner Peduzzi, should you all want to take me up on it this time.
No, they could certainly do that after the meeting's over. Is that your comments?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Warren, birthday girl.
Thank you very
Woman.
much, Mayor. And I would like to acknowledge that, yes, Commissioner Peduzzi, you are in trouble, but I like chocolate-covered strawberries, milk chocolate, just so that you know. And I do like the pink cup that you have over there, the thermos that you're drinking out of for breast cancer awareness. So fall 2025 grant funding to combat anti-Semitism, fight hatred, and promote tolerance presented by the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County. Applicants must demonstrate the following: programming and/or services that benefit Palm Beach County and its residents. There's a preference for organizations with a physical preference in Palm Beach County, status as a nonprofit, government, Federation Jewish partner, and/or other religious entity. And for more information, you can visit WPB-TV.org and attend the virtual information session happening on November 10th, 2025 at 10 a.m. And I would like to congratulate Palm Beach Lakes High School, and many are calling the opportunity that they have to play in London on New Year's Eve as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'd like to believe that it is a life trajectory opportunity, and I'm looking forward to that being a launch for many great experiences for the members of the band. There will be a book launch and a meet and greet with children's author Terrell Goldwire. You have the opportunity to pick up her new book, Freckleberry is Not a Color, for kids between the ages of 3 and 8 years old, and to receive an in-person autograph and meet that author on Saturday, November the 1st at 3 p.m. at Rohi's Readery, located in the historic Northwest neighborhood at 630 7th Street in West Palm Beach. You can also purchase the book online at freckleberrykids.com or Amazon. And I'd like to congratulate the mayor for the Jumpstart Academy cohort that started on October 2nd. I'm hoping that you'll be able to provide additional details on that. It is a great opportunity for startup businesses to get the support that they need in order to be successful. We know that those first couple of years are critical, and the Jumpstart cohort does help with fundamental opportunities. And congratulations to State Representative Javante Edmonds for his 10th year of Suits for Seniors. You all have an opportunity to support Suits for Seniors at their anniversary gala, November 8th in black tie at the Breakers. It's pretty, Breakers, oh.
Breakers West.
Oh, Breakers West.
Big difference.
All right, still an amazing,
It's a beautiful
still
place.
an amazing feat, and congratulations.
I didn't want people going to the wrong place.
Thank you very much for that save, and congratulations. So the event is Saturday, November 8th at the Breakers West in West Palm Beach on Okeechobee Boulevard. And that concludes my comment.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Ward.
I won't actually be able to make that, but I know it'll be very successful.
And you would have gone to the Breakers, right?
The Breakers West, absolutely.
Oh, so you knew that.
Yeah. Hooked on phonics. Happy belated to you. I will not be singing. Sorry, Commissioner Fox. I echo. I read the FOP memo this afternoon, and it was a little bit startling. So, and I wish I hadn't checked to see who was CC'd, or else I would have forwarded on to administration. But I too am looking forward to hearing a response on that regard. I just, other than saying, I hope everyone has a wonderful and safe Halloween on Friday. I'll be racing home between work and getting my daughter out the door to get her in her roomy costume. But I wanted to give a special shout out to all of the men and women who are at Station 3 on Broadway, the fire department. They hosted a kids and family event the other weekend that was so cool. They created an entire obstacle course for the kids and had them running around, and it was just a great experience for our kids to meet our fire department officers and get a peek at inside the station and what they do. But just very kudos on the obstacle course, and they just really put a lot of effort into it. And so thank you so much to them, and that's it.
Thank you. I too will be very brief. Maybe not, since I can't break the record tonight, so we might as well just stay here. Just kidding. So, happy to report that I did have the opportunity to attend the grand opening of Art and Life in Rembrandt's Time, masterpieces from the Leiden Collection, which is at the Norton Museum of Art, which was referenced earlier. And as was stated, this is a big deal for the Norton. I think I'm right in saying this, that no original Rembrandt works have been shown in the United States. I know have not been shown in Florida, and I think the United States. And so for the Norton to get this collection is huge. The exhibition brings more than 75 works from one of the world's foremost private collections of 17th century Dutch art right here to West Palm Beach. It features rare pieces by masters like Rembrandt van Rijn, Johannes van Meer, and their contemporaries. This landmark exhibition invites us into the vibrant world of 17th century Netherlands, where artists capture the beauty of everyday life with remarkable insight and skill. We're proud that the Norton Museum continues to position West Palm Beach as a true cultural destination, bringing world-class art and experiences to our community. I'm especially delighted to share that the City of West Palm Beach residents receive free admission every Saturday, making this incredible exhibition even more accessible for all to enjoy. And I expect this will generate, I know it's already generated national attention, and there'll be lines to see this exhibit, I predict. Clematis by Fright, as we celebrate the arts and culture that enrich our city, we also look forward to community events that bring that same creative spirit to life right here in our public spaces. Clematis by Fright is this Thursday, October 30th from 6 to 9 p.m. The waterfront will transform into a festive, family-friendly Halloween celebration, a free event that brings our community together for a night full of fun. Excuse me. Families can enjoy hay rides, games, raffle prizes, and trick-or-treating with our city departments. And for the grown-ups, there's plenty of fun too. Live 80s hit from Rubik's, South Florida's ultimate tribute band. So grab your costumes, bring your dance moves, and join us for a night that's sure to be totally spooktacular. Yeah, see what I did there? Spooktacular. Okay, I don't write this stuff. From lively celebrations on the waterfront to historic venues in our neighborhoods, West Palm Beach continues to be a city where art, culture, and community come together. I'm thrilled to announce the reopening of the historic Sunset Lounge on Wednesday, November 19th, with a special performance by Grammy-nominated saxophonist Boney James, no relation. The reopening of the Sunset Lounge marks an exciting opportunity for the city to host special events, starting with our popular Soul in the City concert series, which will now find its permanent home at the Sunset Lounge. This revitalized venue honors our city's past and ushers in its future. Located in the heart of the historic Northwest District, the Sunset Lounge once welcomed legends like Count Basie, Ella Fitzgerald, and Louis Armstrong. Now it has been transformed into a dynamic space for community and cultural celebration. Boney James, a standout in contemporary jazz with multiple Grammy and NAACP Image Award nominations and more than 20 #1 smooth jazz singles, is the perfect artist to open this new chapter in the lounge's history. Thank you to the neighborhood residents, local businesses, city staff, and CRA leadership who made this project possible. Your dedication has preserved a piece of our heritage and created a vibrant stage for our future. We invite everyone to join us for this inaugural evening of world-class music celebrating community and culture. For ticket information and details on Soul in the City, visit WPB.org/jazz. That's WPB.org/jazz. And speaking of community and culture, I'm proud to share another example of how we're celebrating our city's past while building its future. It is with great pride that I congratulate the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency on receiving the Roy F. Kinsey Out of the Box Award at this year's Florida Redevelopment Association Conference, hosted right here in our great city. This recognition celebrates the Styx Promenade Project, a powerful example of how creativity, collaboration, and respect for history can come together to shape a stronger future. Located in the heart of our historic Northwest District, the Styx Promenade honors a community whose legacy helped build West Palm Beach while creating a vibrant public space that inspires new economic opportunity and connection. To our CRA team, congratulations on this well-deserved honor. Your innovative work continues to set the standard for redevelopment that is thoughtful, inclusive, and forward-looking. Together, we are building a city where everyone belongs. Congratulations again, and thank you, CRA team, for your extraordinary commitment to West Palm Beach. Of course, it's not just our projects that make this city great, it's our people. And few represent our spirit of service and dedication better than our first responders. I want to take a moment to recognize our incredible West Palm Beach Fire Department. It was an honor to be part of this year's Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches Firefighter Awards Breakfast, a true celebration of courage and service. Our firefighters train relentlessly and answer the call without hesitation. In 2024 alone, the department responded to more than 31,000 calls for service, an extraordinary testament to their dedication and professionalism. This year, our fire department took home 2 awards. Michael Nemchik received the 2025 Firefighter of the Year Award in recognition of his extraordinary compassion and leadership. He went above and beyond to support a fellow firefighter and their family after a tragic loss, offering comfort, coordination, and ongoing care during their time of need. And our very own Junior Alerts program received the Community Service Award. This incredible program empowers West Palm Beach teens with hands-on training in firefighting, emergency response, and teamwork, helping them build confidence, discipline, and a lifelong commitment to service and community leadership. The dedicated team leading this program are Lieutenant Ashley Bianca, Carson Freeland, Nicholas Harmuller, Driver Engineer Joseph Heidel, Lieutenant Iris Hernandez, Inspector Francis McCabe, Captain Stephen McGee, Inspector Randall Temple, Inspector Alejandro Ugalde, Captain Thomas Wasalik, Lieutenant Bianca Ellis, and Captain Brandon Simmons. Congratulations to our fire department, and thank you so much for your continued service to our great city. That concludes my remarks for tonight. Good night, and God bless you in the great city of West Palm Beach. And this meeting is adjourned, and you can sing happy birthday all you want.